Very good morning, everybody. Very good morning. We are starting our first season. We are starting our first season of semester one students. Today we have the topics ranging from Renaissance to Restoration age, or we can call it from Restoration age. So all the topics are selected from the text which were published or performed during this era. Let us have a look at the list of the which we are going to have in this morning on first day of our presentations. Okay, so we will start with Milan's presentation, and it will be on modern reflection in Shakespeare's plays. I will make some comment about how to write the title with the correct grammar, punctuation, capitalization. So take note of that and make correction in the timestamp sheet. Okay? Make correction of what is suggested on the timestamp page now. You have to, because from here I will copy paste for the description in YouTube. That's why we want the perfect title on timestamp page, not on the presentation page. But here we want this. So this we have to see. Yes, any problem is there? Echo sound is coming. Okay, but that's our. Okay, it's going from this mic only. It's not going from the another one. Okay, so first topic is modern reflection. Capital R, capital P. All the key words in the title should be capitalized. KHUSHI Parmar's presentation will be on now. Yes, listen here. Now listen this, because you will make mistake here then. When whatever work is going on, that you have to concentrate on. KHUSHI Parmar's presentation will be on Shakespearean tragedy versus comedy, capital T, capital C. Keywords, all main words in the title should be capital letters. DIMPAL DABHI's presentation on Macbeth, the tragedy of the hardened heart. Now, Macbeth, if you are taking Macbeth as the tragedy, like it is a text, then it should be in single inverted comma. If you're taking Macbeth as a character, then without inverted comma. Everybody remember this. Even when you write your answers in exam, when you write your handwritten answers, if you're talking about Macbeth as a play by Shakespeare, then it should be in single inverted comma. If Macbeth is a character, then without inverted comma. Colon, you have used. Colon should be used near the previous word without any space. Colon should be put near the previous word without any space. So you have to remove the space before. The space should be after the colon. Any punctuation mark that you are using, comma, colon, full stop, there is no space before punctuation mark. The space is after the punctuation mark. The tragedy of the hardened heart, that is okay. Dimple Parmar's presentation on psychological conflict in Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. Okay. I think you are looking at a different place then. Dimple, then Nancy. The impact of prophecy on character development in Macbeth. So all these words should be capital: impact, prophecy, character development, and you want to talk about Macbeth as a character or as a text. So you have to be careful. Here it seems you are talking about Macbeth character, not only Macbeth's character you are going to talk, then it is fine. But if you are talking about other characters also, then Macbeth in single inverted comma. Sandip will be speaking on psychological study of Macbeth's tomorrow speech. So capital P for psychological study, capital S for study, and Macbeth's tomorrow speech. Okay, this again needs to be revisited. This title You can take help of generative AI by giving your title and ask for suggestions that what can be a better way to make this as a title. So you can get a proper meaningful title, and even it is organized in a proper manner also. So make use of generative AI to reframe your title in a proper way. Sandip, HIRALBA, on From Macbeth to Maqbool, a comparative study of tragedy and adaptation. Macbeth and Maqbool are the text, so it should be single inverted comma. Colon should be before the space, and the space after the colon. And then a comparative study of tragedy and small a. And is not keyword. And is not the keyword. It should be small a. Bhargavi will be making on the Scottish play in a modern key. In a modern key, Scottish play in a modern key. So modern key. Okay, now it is restored. Okay. So the modern key is a film. Is it a film? Then it should be in single inverted comma. How film adaptations of Macbeth mirror contemporary anxieties. Okay. DIVYABEN on Aphra Ben's The Rover as a reflection of Restoration Society and women's position. The Rover in single inverted comma. BHALIYA on Carnival and the politics of desire, global and contemporary dimensions of freedom and resistance in Aphra Ben's The Rover. Instead of double inverted comma, better use single inverted comma. Double inverted commas are used when you write quotations. When somebody's quotations are used, double inverted comma. So you have to differentiate between double inverted comma and single one. Gen Z on patriarchy, performance, and the politics of desire in The Rover. The Rover should be in single inverted comma. Sejad Aphra Ben's The Rover, gender, power, and the carnival spirit, a Bakhtinian perspective. Riddhi, John Donne, exploring conceits, themes, and philosophical depth in the metaphysical poetry. The title needs to be revisited. You have to work on the title. It is a little bit confusing. Rudra, John Donne's metaphysical conceits, tradition, innovation, and thematic depth. Take care of the space before colons, before punctuation marks. You have put a space before punctuation marks, so remove that. Shivani on Herbert's Cage, The Collar, and the Search for Self. Okay, the Search for Self. If it is it a poem or you are just putting it the word? The Search for Self. Then, if it is not the poem, then don't use capital T for the. Then the is not the keyword. If the is coming in the title, then it is keyword. If it is not coming in the title, it is not the keyword. Jaipal on metaphysical poets in different cultural context. Capital P, capital D, capital C for cultural, and capital C for contexts. Adityaraj, he will be making the last presentation of the this morning session. Comparison between the Absalom and Achitophel and rape of the lock. So you have to better say comparative study of the Absalom and Achitophel, capital A, single inverted comma, and the rape of the lock, again single inverted comma for the title. Both the title should be in single inverted comma, and make it still better, a comparative study, and then you can put that. Okay, so I hope that this all suggestions you will keep in mind, and tomorrow and the coming days we don't have to make the same comment again. If the new mistakes you are committing, it is good, but don't make the same mistakes. Commit new mistakes, but don't repeat the same thing every day. Take note of everything. So next day when you make your title, all those things are rectified. Okay, let us start with the first presentation. Milan, you can start.
Hello, 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 hello. I am audible. A very, a very good morning, everyone. My name is Milan B. Dave. Today, my presentation topic is modern reflection in Shakespeare's play. So let's start discuss. This is my academic information, table of content, research question, and hypothesis. Research question: How have modern adaptation represent our understanding of Shakespeare work? Shakespeare hypothesis: Shakespeare's play continue to reflect modern life because they explore universal human emotion, psychological depth, and social conflict that remain relevant in the 21st century. His themes of ambition, power, love, and identity make him a timeless and modern writer from every age. Introduction: William Shakespeare was an Elizabethan Jacobean playwright, poet, and actor who wrote 39 plays, 154 sonnets, and several poems. His work continued to be studied, staged, and adapted worldwide, making him the most performance playwright in history. The idea of modern reflection highlight how his plays still resonate with contemporary issues such as love, ambition, identity, power, and morality. Shakespeare's true genius lies portraying universal human experience like jealousy, betrayal, family conflict, and justice concern that transcend century and culture. This timeless relevance is why Shakespeare is often described as modern in every age. What does modern reflection mean? The word modern is always changing. What is new today become old tomorrow. Yet Shakespeare play remain modern because they continue to reflect the struggle, emotion, and question faced by every generation. His writing does not belong only to the Elizabethan world, but speak the universal human experience. Ask timeless question about human purpose and destiny. Challenge authority, tradition, and social order. Universality of themes. Shakespeare play remain relevant across century become that explore universal human themes, experience, emotion, and conflict. The every generation can relate it. His character struggle with the feeling, decision, and situation that timeless with why his work continue to resonate in modern audience. This his plays are character Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello, King Lear, The Tempest. All are many another theme to represent it. a break with tradition, which focus on ambiguity, fragmentation, and uncertainty. Through his live century earlier, Shakespeare work anticipated many of these try. Ambiguity is helmet play, tragic anti-heroic. This show in Macbeth play. Dark irony is King Lear. Language and form. Soliloquy, swifting tone, and mixing comedy with tragedy foreshadow experimental literary forms. Modern adaptation of Shakespeare. Shakespeare's story continued to inspire film, television, and theater, proving his timeless relevance. Modern director adapt his play of into new culture, social, and political setting while keeping the university instead. Film Heather, Vishal Bhardwaj's Indian adaptation of Hamlet. Omkara, adaptation of Othello. Maqbool, adaptation of Macbeth, The Lion King, the adaptation of Hamlet, TV and, TV and drama Succession, inspired by King Lear, and The Hollow Crow, the faithful TV adaptation of Shakespeare history plays, case studies, and modern issue. 21st century relevance. Shakespeare play remain meaningful today because they explore issues that are still important in modern society. Mental health awareness. Hamlet show indication and inner conflict, while Lady Macbeth reflect guilt and trauma, helping audience relate to mental health and struggle. Corruption and political, gender equality, and race identity. Othello and Shylock explore racial prejudice, culture difference, and social discrimination issues still relevant in modern society. Challenge and limit. Conclusion. Shakespeare remains modern because his play reflect timeless aspects of human nature, including love, ambition, jealousy, and conflict. He anticipated modernist techniques such as the ambiguity, irony, and psychological realism, which make his TV work rich and complex. The many adaptations in film, TV, and theater show that his story continued to influence in the 21st century, proving that Shakespeare's insight into humanity are still living today. Learning outcomes, reference, and thank you. If you ask me question,
My question is that how do Shakespeare's play reflect the spirit of Elizabethan age?
Shakespeare play reflect the spirit of Elizabethan age through their love of beauty, human emotion, and new idea of the Renaissance. His work show the hope, beliefs, and life of the people of his time.
Hello. My question is the what does Shakespeare say about peoples?
Shakespeare Shakespeare writing reflect that human nature is complex, full of love, jealousy, ambition, and kindness.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. हाँ શરૂ તો છે. શરૂ છે? હેલો, સંભળાય છે હવે? હેલો, 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 સંભળાય છે? ઓકે. So, good morning, everyone. So, I am KHUSHI Parmar. My presentation topic is Shakespearean tragedy versus comedy. So, let's start. This is my academic information, then table of content, then research question and hypothesis. So, my question is, what are the main differences between Shakespearean tragedy and comedy? And hypothesis is that Shakespeare's tragedy focus on serious themes such as human flaws, moral struggle, and the consequences of choices, often ending in loss and death. So contrast in his comedy focus on love, humor, misunderstanding, and happy resolutions, including comic elements within tragedy helps to relieve tension and makes the characters and story more relatable to the audience. So let's start with introduction. William Shakespeare wrote tragedy, comedy, and histories, which are still studied today. Tragedy and comedy are two main drama types in his works. Tragedy shows serious events, human flaws, and suffering. Comedy focuses on humor, situation, love, and happy ending. So some plays mix both genre called tragic comedy. Shakespeare often used both genre reflect and life and society. So this presentation will explore differences, example, and functions of tragedy and comedy. So, what is tragedy? Tragedy is a serious play that shows human suffering and mistake. The main characters usually have tragic flaw that lead to their downfall. Tragedies often end with death, misfortune, or loss. Characters are often kings, noble, or heroes like King Lear or Macbeth. Tragedy explores fate, morality, emotions, and human nature. The story teaches lessons about choices and consequences. Next, what is comedy? Comedy is a funny, entertaining play that often ends happily. It focuses on love, misunderstanding, and social situations. Characters include common people or noble, often in humorous situation. It usually ends with marriage, reunion, and reconciliation. As an example, 12th Night, mistaken identities, love, confusion, resolve happily. Other examples is much ado about nothing and as you like it. So this is a table of key differences between tragedy and comedy. So we can see this feature, tragedy, comedy, and example. So tone of comedy and tragedy, serious and emotional, in comedy, light and humorous. And feature of we can see, and ending is sad or fatal, and comedy's ending is always happy or resolved. And characters in tragedy are kings, noble, and heroes. And in comedy, common people or nobles is focus on human flaws, morality, and fate. And comedy focus on love, social issues, and humor. So this is about tragic comedy. Some plays blend tragedy and comedy are tragic comedy. I mean, tragedy and comedy is intermingle is called tragic comedy. Is a best example of the Macbeth and the Venice by William Shakespeare. So, comic material in tragedy. Tragedies often include funny moments to balance the story. As an example, great DIVYABEN scene in Hamlet provides comic relief. Humor makes tragic characters and more relatable. They allow audience to pause before serious events and continue. So this is a function of comedy. Comedy entertains the audience and keeps them engaged. It teaches social lesson about behavior, love, and relationship. Comedy often highlights love, friendship, and reconciliation. As an example, as you like it, in his play, we can see Rosalind's disgust create humor and love confusion. So this is a tragedy and comedy in Shakespeare. Shakespeare uses both genre to explore human nature and society. Tragedy shows human like ambition, guilt, grief, and fate. Comedy shows joy, cleverness, and resolution of problem. Both reflect human behavior, morality, and social norms. As an example, 12th Night combines romantic comedy with emotional depth. So this is an example of each genre. Tragedy examples are Macbeth, we can say ambition and guilt. In Othello, jealousy and betrayal. And King Lear, pride and family conflict. Comedy example, 12th Night. Then tragic comedy examples is a Merchant of Venice. And we can see the law, justice, and humor. Tragedy teaches lesson about life and humor flaws. And comedy shows human nature in a fun and light way. So, and there is a critical perspective is theoretical approaches. in psychoanalytic approach focus on humor, inner conflict, and desire in characters. And genre and performance theory says that tragedy and comedies often mix meaning changes with each performance. And the new historicism focus on look as how Shakespeare plays reflect the politics and culture of his time. So this is conclusion. Tragedy shows life, struggle, emotion, and consequences. Comedy shows joy, humor, and happy resolution. Tragedy teaches more lesson and consequences of flaws. Comedy teaches how lesson through laughter and fun. And tragic comedy combines serious theme with humor and balance. Understanding this genre helps appreciate Shakespeare's skill and lasting impact. So this is my learning outcome, then resources, and thank you. Any question?
Hello. So, what is the role of fate in Shakespearean tragedy?
Fate often plays a significant role in Shakespearean tragedy, contributing to the protagonist's downfall and emphasizing the idea that some events are inventable.
My question is that how do Shakespeare comedy typically end?
Shakespeare's comedy typically end with marriage, reconciliation, or sense of resolution, often accompanied by music, dance, or other celebrity elements.
So, hello everyone. My name is DABHI DIMPAL, and today is my presentation topic is Macbeth, tragedy of the Hardened Heart. This is for my academic information. Then research question: how does Shakespeare dramatize the moral and psychological consciousness of Macbeth's hardened heart, and what does he reveal about the nature of evil and human conscience? Then hypothesis: Macbeth's downfall results from his conscience decision to silence his moral conscience and evil and the moral corruption and begin with the single deliberate act and will. This is table of content. Then content we will be follow this introduction. Shakespeare's Macbeth explored the gradual hardening of the human heart through moral compromise and unchecked ambition. The play portrays how Macbeth, once noble warrior, become enslaved by his own desire and guilt, and landing at an inner tragedy of isolation and despair. The false choice of hardened heart, Macbeth's initial moral compromise, voices the tragic distortions of the nature. False face must hide what the false heart doth know. Commits to cutting himself off from that great bond of nature, and must harden his heart and cashier of feel as a man. Then Lady Macbeth's role in the moral choice. Macbeth initially has no spur to prick the side of the initial, and lacking the necessary non-human feelings. So Lady Macbeth's supplice and emotional power needed to finalize an act of moral choice. The logic of evil once began. The tragedy of sustained by the failure of the choice, and things had begun make strong themselves by ill, attempting to make himself at home in hell. Applied by murder, Macbeth seeks relief by forcing himself altogether out of the natural orders. He desires a state free from fear or pain or remorse, where he can eat our meal in fear and sleep in the afflicted of this is tribal dreams. The murder of Maqbool and Benku or habit. This murder doesn't bring place but strengthens the habit of evil. Macbeth resolves the become a ventral and tribal deeds to overcome his initial fear. We are yet but young indeed. So, automaton of will, the inner tragedy, compulsive action, the inner conflict, the habit of evil bends his will from within, lending and compulsive action without the con- concern of the reason. His action become automatic. Strength thinks I have in a head that will to hand. This is the inner tragedy of the sinner life, where he is reminds conscious of the image of God and he willfully destroyed. Macbeth of a normative contrast, dramatizing what out of to be. Macbeth, like Ben would yearly function as a normative contrast, defining a abnormality and Macbeth's state. The price of will and importance of human feelings in gravely for his family Macduff and for full expressing and his humanity and demonstrating in capacity and Macbeth destroyed. Macbeth's final despair. Facing Macduff and Macbeth experience a terrified remorse but lacks the energy for repetition. He rejects her doctor's advice and purges his soul. This to his dog's ill known. He sees recovery as too tedious to be endured and choosing to fight Macduff and embrace death rather than live and read his losses. The pattern of consciousness, conflict of consciousness, the tragedy central on the conflict between Macbeth's innate conscience, his moral structure and power of the supernatural forces of weakness. The moral, the play is a primary moral is that man should not temporary with evil, as a not even a deeper rooted conscience can connected with its destruction. Character and symbolic function. Beyond psychological realism, Reamer urges what the play is. Characters are governed less by the requirement of the psychological consistency and moral, the speaking symbolic function with the total dramatic. Macbeth as a symbol. Macbeth's final state is that of the unnatural man, completely cut off from his flow of man and from God, symbolize an ultimate outcome of choosing evil. Then conclusion. The tragedy of Macbeth lives not merely in the hero's death, but in the death of his moral self. His hardened heart symbolized the self and inflicted destruction of the conscience under the pressures of the ambition and guilt. Shakespeare, through Macbeth's transformation, warms and once one temporal will to evil will even strength consciousness cannot withstand its counseling forces. These are references, and thank you. This is for my side. And now ask me any question you have, I will answer.
My question is, why is Macbeth tragedy described as the tragedy of the hardest heart rather than simply ambition?
At the first, Macbeth is a kind and loyal, but after the greed and repeated murder, then loss of his guilt and feeling, so become he was cruel and heartless.
So, Dimple, my question is, how does Macbeth heart become hardened throughout the play?
Macbeth ambition destroy his humanity. So in the end of his he cannot feel the love and sorrow. So that is loss of feelings, and so okay, this is for my side. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Dimpal Parmar. My topic is psychological conflict in Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. This is my academic information and this is table of contents, and my research question is, how do the psychological conflict of Macbeth and Lady Macbeth contribute to the thematic development of guilt, ambition and moral deterioration? And the hypothesis is, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth's psychological struggles are central to the play's narrative and thematic development. Their ambition initiates their descent into moral corruption, while guilt gradually leads to their psychological collapse. Macbeth becomes increasingly paranoid and violent, whereas Lady Macbeth, once emotionally strong, unravels under the weight of remorse. These internal conflicts drive their downfall and highlight the destructive effects of unchecked ambition and violated conscience. And introduction, Shakespeare Macbeth explores the dark psychology of ambition, guilt, and moral downfall. The play goes beyond to political tragedy to reveal the inner struggle between conscience and desire. Macbeth hesitation and Lady Macbeth suppress morality show how unchecked ambition destroys ethical balance. Through their downfall, Shakespeare exposes the universal conflict between human desire and moral responsibility. And this is a historical context written around 1606 during King James' first reign, and the themes is witchcraft and the supernatural, and political anxiety about kingship, succession, and divine right. Historical Macbeth vs. Shakespeare Macbeth. Historical Macbeth rules Scotland briefly. Shakespeare dramatized his story to empathize moral lessons. And societal influence on psychology, fear of witches mirror external triggers for Macbeth internal conflicts. And then this is the theoretical framework. Freud's psychological theory, psychoanalytic theory, ambition is the id, Macbeth's unchecked ambition reflects the primal instinctual drive that seeks immediate gratification without regard for moral consequences. Concise is the superego. The superego representing internalized societal and moral standards manifest through Macbeth guilt and hesitation. And then Jung archetypal psychology. Lady Macbeth as a shadow. According to the Jungian theory, the shadow represents the dark, unconscious aspect of the self. Lady Macbeth embodies Macbeth repressed traits and then confronting the shadow. Macbeth's psychological conflict, ambition with conscience. Macbeth's internal conflict begin with his hesitation to murder Duncan, revealing a deep moral awareness despite his growing ambition. In Act 1, Scene 7, he weighs the consequences, both earthly and spiritual, of the murder, questioning the justifiability of killing a virtuous king. And then descent into tyranny. As Macbeth becomes king, his action grew increasingly ruthless and detached from conscience. Fear of losing power and being exposed fueled a pattern of primitive violence, notably the murder of Banquo and Musgrave of Macbeth family. Macbeth no longer questioned his morality. Instead, he operated from self-preservation and paranoia, with ambition fully overriding ethical consideration. And then Lady Macbeth's psychological conflict, manipulation and ambition. Lady Macbeth plays a crucial role in initiating Duncan's murder by manipulating Macbeth's sense of masculinity and ambition. She questioned his courage and resolved, punishing him to commit an act he initially resists. In Act 1, Scene 5, she calls on dark forces to strip her feminine weakness. She said, "Come on, spirits that tend on moral thought, unsex me here." This line reveals her desire to suppress conscience, compassion, and moral hesitation in order to pursue power at any cost. Second is guilt and manifestation. Despite her strong and composed exterior early in the play, Lady Macbeth cannot fully repress her guilt. In Act 5, Scene 1, she begins sleepwalking and obsessive rubbing her hands, imagining she cannot remove Duncan's blood. "Out, damn spot, out, I say." This is quote. And then comparative analysis, psychological trajectories. Macbeth's trajectory begins with a strong moral awareness, but as he commits regicide, he becomes morally desensitized, gradually losing empathy and restraint. And then gendered psychological response. The character reaction to guilt reflect gender psychological patterns, typical literary cultural interpretation. Men represented by Macbeth tend to rationalize their crimes, detach emotionally, and express guilt through outward action like violence and paranoia. And then key scenes analysis. Act 1, Scene 5. She said, "Unsex me here." Lady Macbeth calls on supernatural forces to unsex her, rejecting traditional feminine qualities like compassion and morality. And psychological implication. And then Act 2, Scene 2, Duncan murder. This scene captured the immediate psychological aftermath of regicide. Macbeth is overwhelmed by, "We all great Neptune ocean, wash this blood clean from my hand." And then psychological and moral interpretation. Both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are shaped by hamartia, or tragic flaws, which ultimately lead to their downfalls. For Macbeth, his flaw is valuing ambition, a desire for power so overwhelming that it overrides for moral judgment and reason. A central conflict throughout the play is the struggle between conscience and ambition. This internal battle creates intense psychological tension, particularly visible in Macbeth's soliloquies and Lady Macbeth's later breakdown. Film adaptation and visual representation. Film adaptation of Macbeth vividly expressed the play's psychological themes through visual storytelling. Polanski's adaptation emphasized hallucination and graphic violence, using dark, unsettling imagery to reflect Macbeth's descent into guilt and madness. Kurosawa's Throne of Blood, set in a feudal Japan, preserves the core psychological tension of the original. Through minimal dialogue, foggy landscape, and a chillingly calm wife figure, the film explores ambition and manipulation in a culturally distinct but emotionally similar way. And this is the critical interpretations. Munro, Lady Macbeth's psychological decline is central to understanding the tragedy. Her descent into guilt induced the madness, reflect this play's exploration of conscience and the destructive power of unchecked ambition. Carr, the interdependent psychological conflict between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, illustrate their moral and ethical deterioration. The relationship, once marked by unity, becomes fractured as guilt isolated them, revealing how internal corruption manifests in outward disintegration. And this is the conclusion. In Macbeth, Shakespeare shows how ambition and guilt lead to moral and psychological destruction, Macbeth's rise and fall, along with Lady Macbeth's madness, reveals the tragic cost of violating conscience. The play remains a timeless study of human weakness and the destructive power of unchecked desire. So this is my side. If you have any question, please ask.
So, Dimple, my question is, what moral lesson does Shakespeare convey through great psychological conclusion?
Shakespeare shows that unchecked ambition and moral corruption also destroy our inner peace and also lose our harmony.
So, Dimple, what does Lady Macbeth's sleepwalking skin reveal?
Lady Macbeth actions, washing imaginary blood from her hands, she said, out damn spot also show her guilt, remorse, and psychological disintegration. Thank you.
Hello everyone, very good morning. Myself Nancy VIRDA, and this is my topic, the impact of prophecy on character development in Macbeth. This is academic information, table of content, research question. In what ways do the prophecies shape Macbeth's character and action throughout the play? Hypothesis. Macbeth's transformation from a loyal nobleman to a tyrant is largely shaped by the influence of prophecy on his mind rather than by fate alone. Introduction. Examine how the witches' prophecies shape the story and influence Macbeth's mind and character. Initially, Macbeth is a brave and loyal nobleman, but the prophecies cause gradual changes in his behavior. Prophecies do not directly force him to act, but they push him towards choices that revise his inner character, which is what function as psychological tools, driving Macbeth's transformation from a loyal hero to a ruler customed by fear, ambitions, and moral conflict. This presentation explores how prophecies increase with Macbeth's mind, ambition, and actions. Prophecy as the trigger of Macbeth's ambition. The prophecy made by which is all hail Macbeth that shalt be king hereafter. This word immediately catch Macbeth's attention and make him start thinking about the possibility of becoming king. The prophecy shaped his character development directly. Importantly, this change happened without external pressure. The first prophecy, ambition awakened, which is great Macbeth with the famous words that all had Macbeth that shalt be king hereafter. This word planted the first seed of ambitions for Macbeth. After hearing the prophecy, Macbeth began to hesitate morality. The witches would influence his thought and actions from his point towards. The prophecy saw how a single moment of supernatural element can start a chain recant that affect the main characters. prophecy, and moral conflict. After hearing the witch's prophecy, Macbeth began to struggle with his conscience. One of the line of Macbeth is, "My thought was murder yet, but fantastical." This shows that Macbeth's mind is already thinking about killing Duncan, even though he has not acted yet. But the prophecy make him consider choices he would not have imagined before. This shows that the witches' word do not force him to act, but they create a psychological space for ambition and moral conflict to grow. The second prophecy reinforces action. One more prophecy for Benko by witches is, "Thou shalt get king, though they be known." This prophecy make Macbeth feel both envy and fear. Macbeth start to see the prophecy as a plan he must follow. This prophecy demonstrates how the witches predicts actively shape the plot and character development in Macbeth. Lady Macbeth and prophecy. Lady Macbeth hears about the witch's prophecy and immediately interprets it as a collection for her husband. She fears that Macbeth is too kind and moral to take the throne by force, saying, "Too full o' the milk human kindness." In this way, the witch's words indirectly influence Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. The prophecy creates moral tension. This shows that prophecy does not just guide Macbeth, it affects those around him, implying ambition and moral conflict in the play. Prophecy and downfall. One of the famous prophecies says, "None of woman born shall harm Macbeth." Macbeth interprets this mean he cannot be defeated, which makes him reckless and careless in his action. This witch's prophecy shows that they control both his mind and story. In this way, prophecy is a key force in both Macbeth's psychological state and narrative. Prophecy and philosophical control. The witch's prophecy being to affect Macbeth's mind deeply, cause paranoia, fear, and obsession with about losing power. Macbeth says, "To be thus is nothing but to be safely thus." This shows that Macbeth is not longer satisfied with just being king. He constantly worrying about the threat to his throne. Initially, prophecy does not force Macbeth to act, but it shapes his decision, ovation, and leadership. This shows how the witch's predictions manipulate his mind and guide the story towards tragedy. Conclusion. Here, prophecies are the key forces in the play. Macbeth changed from a loyal man to tyrant, explore the balance between fate and free will. The play highlights how words and predictions can shape actions. My outcome from this topic: prophecies are not directly forced Macbeth to act. I am explore tension between fate and free will. These prophecies are mirror of Macbeth's character, and initially prophecy is psychological trigger for Macbeth. This is reference. Thank you. If anyone have any question, then ask to free. Okay, so Shakespeare shows that the witches' prophecies are tricky and misleading. They are truly in the way but unclear. So Macbeth misunderstanding them and make wrong choices. For example, he thinks he is safe because none of women born shall him kill him or harm him. But Macduff born by cesarean. Thank you. If anyone have any other question?
Nancy, my question is, how does the prophecy affect the relationship between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth over the course of the play?
The witch's prophecy first bring Macbeth and Lady Macbeth together, making them both want becoming king and queen. But later it separate them. Macbeth become obsessed with the power, and Lady Macbeth feel guilty and goes mad, leaving them apart. Thank you. This is from my side.
Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Sandeep JETHAVA. Today we will discuss about my topic. So my topic is psychological study of Macbeth's tomorrow speech. Here is my academic details and some my presentation details. Here is the table of content. So the basic introduction, purpose of the study. This presentation explores Macbeth's tomorrow and tomorrow speech, which is appears from act number 5 and scene number 5, through a psychological lens, focusing on how Shakespeare dramatizes the collapse of the human mind at the edge of death, guilt, and existential despair. We will analyze how Macbeth's mental breakdown, time distortion, and emotional detachment reflect key psychological states, drawing from psychoanalytic theory from Sigmund Freud's ID, ego, and superego, existential psychology, meaninglessness, absurdity, and fatalism, linguistic cause disruption in grammar and temporarily. Macbeth's speech is one of the most despairing moment in all of Shakespeare, William Shakespeare's. Here is my research question. How does Macbeth's tomorrow speech reflect psychological themes of despair, guilt, and existential nihilism? And what does this reveal about his mental state in the final stages of the play? Here's the hypothesis. Macbeth's tomorrow speech reflects a profound psychological breakdown marked by symptoms of existential despair, emotional numbness, and unresolved guilt. This soliloquy reveals how unchecked ambition and moral disintegration lead to collapse of meaning and identity. Here is the actual speech, which is taken from act number 5 and scene number 5 of Macbeth. Tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way of dusty death. Out brief candle, life but a walking shadow, a poor player that struck and frets his honor hour upon the stage. Then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. As I said, this is from Macbeth, William Shakespeare, Act number 5 and Scene number 5. So here is the context of the speech. Macbeth's tomorrow soliloquy occurs at a pivotal psychological moments. He has just learned of Lady Macbeth's death, but shows no visible grief, a chilling sign of emotional detachment. At the same time, the enemy army advances on his castle. His power, control, and ambition are collapsing. The speech reveals not sorrow, but a bleak resignation. Life is meaningless, time is relentless, and death is inevitable. She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Macbeth does not mourn his wife, he dissociates. So here is imagery and some key lines. Macbeth's language in the tomorrow speech is saturated with images of emptiness, futility, and fragility. Each metaphor reflects his disintegrating psyche. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Repetition suggests the monotony of time creeping forward meaninglessly. Out brief candle. So life is fragile and easily extinguished like a dying flame. Life but a walking shadow. Macbeth sees himself as an empty projection lacking substances or identity. So his nihilism and existential despair in Macbeth's tomorrow speech. At this moment in the play, Macbeth confronts a complete loss of meaning both in the life and in his own existence. The speech is not just poetic; it's philosophical. It reflects deep existential despair, resonating with thinkers like Albert Camus and Jean-Paul Sartre. Macbeth's nihilism: life is empty, repetitive, and futile. Life, time brings no healing or redemption, just a slow decay. Death is inevitable, and everything before it is meaningless. What is existential despair? So, in existential despair, said Camus, despair arises when people realize that life has no inherent purpose, and they must create meaning for themselves. Macbeth cannot do this. His guilt, power, lust, and losses have destroyed his identity. Macbeth's view of life as a meaningless performance align with Camus' concept of absurd. Time and temporarily in Macbeth's tomorrow speech. Macbeth's speech reveals a deeply disturbed and perception of time, no longer linear, purposeful, and or redemptive, but slow, repetitive, and meaningless. Time becomes a psychological burden rather than a path forward. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. This repetition evokes endless monotony. Each day is indistinguishable from the last. Macbeth experiences time as a static, not progressive. It drags on with no goal or relief. The language mirrors his mental fatigue and emotional disconnection from life. Creeps in this petty pace from day to day. Time is now described as a creeping, weak, and without vitality. Macbeth no longer believes in the future, only in the slow decay of existence. This reflects a state of fatalistic temporality. Times continue but means nothing. Macbeth's perception of time becomes disordered. He is trapped in a fatalistic temporality. This is said by Daniel Johnston, Phenomenology of the Time Macbeth Shakespeare Journal. So psychoanalytic view from Sigmund Freud's ID, ego, and superego. Using Freud's structure model of the psyche, ID, ego, and superego, we can better understand Macbeth's internal psychological struggle in the tomorrow speech. So here is some points you can understand from this point. Language and mental disintegration, integration, and alternate interpretation. So my conclusion: why this reading matters. Macbeth's downfall, emotionally and psychologically real, shows the cost of ambition and guilt not just in power but in the human soul. Psychology turns a famous speech into a timeless reflection of human vulnerability. This psychological reading of Macbeth's tomorrow speech makes his downfall feels emotionally and psychologically real. We see not just a fallen king, but broken man lost in despair, haunted by guilt, and numb to life meaning. It reveals the true cost of unchecked ambition and a moral compromise, not just in the pursuit of power, but in the erosion of the human soul. Through this lens, Shakespeare's words becomes more than poetry. They become a timeless reflection of human vulnerability, regret, and the inner collapse that follows great wrongdoing. So here is the reference. Thank you. If you have any question, you can free to ask.
Sandeep, my question is, what does Macbeth tomorrow's speech reveal about his psychological state?
Okay. The speech reveals Macbeth despair, deep guilt, and emotional numbness. He feels life is meaningless and reflecting his complete moral and psychological collapse after his crimes. Okay, if you have any another question.
So my question is, how does the tomorrow's speech reflect Macbeth's view on life and time?
Okay. Macbeth sees life as a fleeting and futile, repetitive cycle leading only to death, symbolizing his loss of purpose and the emptiness of human ambition. So this is from my side. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is HIRALBA JADEJA. My topic is that from Macbeth to Maqbool, comparative study of tragedy and adaptation. This is my academic information. Table of content, introduction. Macbeth, a Shakespearean tragedy primarily set in Scotland, and Maqbool, a crime drama reimagined as a struggle for power within the hierarchy of organized crime in Mumbai. Both explores themes, ambitions, betrayal, faith, and guilt. Why is compare? Adaptation like Maqbool show the universality and contemporary relevance of Shakespeare works despite spatial, temporal, and cultural distance. My research question is that how does Maqbool adapt Macbeth to an Indian socio-political and cultural context while preserving its core themes? A hypothesis: Maqbool retains the tragic essence of Macbeth, making it relevant to modern audiences through a process of creative mistranslation. The film reimagined ambitions, betrayal, and guilt in the Indian underworld setting while remaining faithful to the original's basic theme. This is a historical and cultural context, setting and society. Macbeth, medieval monarchy in Scotland, and Maqbool is a Mumbai underworld source of power. Macbeth, legitimate king, Duncan, power snatched by God, and in Maqbool, mafia don, power based on violence and illegitimate authority. Supernatural and foreshadowing. the witches or weird sister, a true supernatural extension. In Maqbool, corrupt policemen, Pandit and Purohit. Power struggle, monarchy versus anarchy, cutting oneself loose from the moral base. In Maqbool, underworld, the empire fighting for the Gaddi. Character parallels. In Macbeth, Macbeth adapt in Maqbool parallels role, the tragic protagonist and Lady Macbeth in Maqbool Nimmi, the instigator whose illegitimate relationship fuels the conflict, and King Duncan become a Abaji, Ben violent leaders, murdered by his trusted subordinate, and witches. Adapt in Maqbool corrupt policemen, Pandit and Purohit, the prophets who foretell the futures via horoscope reading. Benko in adapt Maqbool, Kaka, the loyal subordinate and friend whose subsequent loyalty is doubted. And Macduff, adapt in Maqbool Inspector Pandey, the primary agent of protagonist eventual downfall. Themes compared. First theme is ambitions. In Macbeth wants to the crown, and in Maqbool wants to the underworld throne, but primarily driven by sexual jealousy and fatal passion for Nimi. And second theme is a betrayal. Both kill their benefactors, Duncan and Abaji, leading to internal conflict. Faith versus free will. Witches' prophecies versus policeman's prediction. Both are driven to crime by combination of prophecy and instigation. Guilt and conscience, both are men plagued by guilt, which manifest as a psychological destruction. Power and corruption. The elective to cut themselves loose from the moral base lead to moral and political anarchy in both settings. Role of women. These are features and Lady Macbeth and Macbeth in Lady Macbeth and in Maqbool in Nimi. Macbeth's legitimate Macbeth's legitimate wife, bound by a holy relationship, and Nimi, Abaji's mistress. Primary motivation: Lady Macbeth is a cold and ruthless instigator, driven purely by shared ambitions for the crown. And in Nimi, manipulative and persuasive, driven by carving for legitimacy and a desire for marriage with Maqbool. A role in crime, Lady Macbeth actively insults Macbeth's manhood and instigates the murder of Duncan. Actively pursues Maqbool to kill Abaji to secure their future and her status. Emotional arc. Lady Macbeth, initially emotionally dominant. In Nimi, initially dominant, but her character is given a layer of human weakness much earlier, making her more vulnerable. And cultural context, Lady Macbeth represents the disruption of the political and divine order of the medieval court. In Nimi, becomes the throne itself for Maqbool, as his desire for her usurp from his ambitions and for power. Symbolism and imagery, motif, guilt, darkness, and prophetic atmosphere in Macbeth. Blood, dagger, and sleepwalking. In Maqbool, blood and Abaji's hunting eyes. In Macbeth, night is the desired shield for the heroine's crimes, and in Maqbool, vivid darkness, gloom, and heavy rain create an atmosphere of dread. Thunder in Macbeth, thunder and lightning, and in Maqbool, the constant oppressive presence of the corrupt police and ocean imagery in the climax. Tragic downfall. Macbeth ends overthrown and killed by Macduff. In Maqbool ends betrayed by his own people and hunting down. Tragic hero. Both protagonists are destroyed by their self-serving ambitions and guilt. This is my conclusion. The comparison between Macbeth and Maqbool reveals how Shakespeare's themes remain timeless. Both works portrayed ambitions, betrayal, and guilt, leading to downfall by shifting the story from medieval Scotland to modern Mumbai. Bhardwaj shows that human flaws and moral struggles transcend cultures, proving the universal appeal of Shakespeare tragedies. This is my learning outcomes. This is my reference. Thank you. Any question? To the ground story in Indian realism, in Indian socio-political setting, corrupt police are believable professed who shape fate, replacing supernatural witches with human agents of destiny. Anyone? Yes.
Okay, my question is, what makes Nimi different from Lady Macbeth?
Lady Macbeth is a cold and power-driven, while Nimi is emotional, motivated by love and legitimacy. This makes her more vulnerable, reflecting Indian culture's value about relationship and honor. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, respected sir and my dear classmate. Today I will be presenting on Shakespeare's most darkest and fascinating play, Macbeth. But rather than discussing the play, I will in isolation. We will explore how it has traveled across time to cinema and how each adaptation reflects the fears, politics, and psychology of its age. Let's start. This slide show my academic information, and this is outline of your reference for my presentation. And this is my central research question. How do modern film adaptations reinterpret Shakespeare's Macbeth to reflect their cultural, political, and psychological context? And this hypothesis, modern cinematic adaptations of Macbeth serve as reflective and reinterpretations of Shakespeare's tragedy, projecting the cultural, historical, and psychological concern of their respective eras. The film transfers the play's universal theme of ambitions, guilt, and moral conflict into visual and narrative expressions of contemporary identity, trauma, and ethical dilemmas, demonstrating the enduring relevance of Shakespeare's work across time and media. Then about William Shakespeare, we all know. So let's jump main content of presentation. About play. Macbeth was written as a gunpowder plot. Then England's fear, treason, and cause. The play explored moral and psychological collapse caused by ambitions and lust for power. This theme present ambitions versus morality, fate versus free will, guilt and consequence, supernatural and influence. Macbeth transformations from noble warrior to triumph release of corrupting power of unchecked ambition, and as William Shakespeare said, volanting ambitions which overlives itself. The witches mirror both political anxiety and Jacobean eras of psychological temptation within the human soul. And then, what is adaptation? Adaptation is retelling a story in a new medium from a cultural context and such as a play into film. Purpose it was allows director to reinterpret Shakespeare idea, theme and character so they resonate with contemporary audience, address correct social, political and psychological concern. As Curry said, this concept goes beyond simple retelling and the adaptations reflect both and original text, the cultural anxiety of the adaptations on time. Then, Roman Polanski's Macbeth was made in early 1970 after the Vietnam War and monsoon murders in England. Polanski movie adapts the Shakespeare Macbeth to reflect contemporary social anxiety and play present theme of graphic violence, dark realism, show moral and collapse, highlight cause, ambitions, guilt and trauma. Example of reflective adaptations mirror of the fears of its while following the core story. As the Assam said, a tragedy for generation without fear or stability. And then Akira Kurosawa, Throne of Birds, adapted in feudal Japan and adapt to Japanese culture and theme represents Shakespeare's Macbeth, Japanese anxiety, guilt, fear and ambitions. As Curry said, Kurosawa transformed Shakespeare's ambitions into meditations on national trauma and self-destructions. And Maqbool transformed Macbeth into Mumbai criminal underworld with Maqbool as a Macbeth. Ambaji King Duncan retains the core story of ambitions and moral collapse situations in contemporary Indian society. The movie presents Indian politicians' situation in the India and the two policemen replacing the witches and symbolize systematic corruptions in moral blindness. Show highlights how ambitions and betrayal operate in realistic and modern power in structure. And modern Bharadwaj said about this play transforms Shakespeare's moral tragedy in reflections of Indian power politics and showing that ambitions and guilt are universal human concern. And then Justin Kurzel, Macbeth. Kurzel adaptation situation. Shakespeare's Macbeth is gritty, word tone and landscape emphasize the psychological and emotional trauma of the central characters. The movie show 21st century anxiety present in this movie, post-traumatic stress, moral and fear. And as Freedom said, Kurzel Macbeth, the emotional nuance and ethical enthusiasm arising from the modern efforts and showing Shakespeare narrative through the contemporary psychological lens on this era. And this drama also present in new time. Lady Macbeth represent adoption in violence, temperature, patriarchal society, and ambitions, guilt, and she is influence societal trauma. And this is a slideshow of comparative table in movie. How to adoption reflect the fears of its time, whether war, violence, corruptions. Each director used Shakespeare's story as a mirror of modern anxiety. They have different setting, visual and moral tones. And then now conclusion. In conclusion, every filmmaker remains Macbeth to express the moral and psychological fears of their own time. Kurosawa, Japan faces guilt after war. Polanski's world collapse in violence. Bharadwaj, India struggle with corruption. And Kurtz's model world faces the mental trauma. This show that Macbeth is not just a play of the past. It is the timeless explorations of human ambitions and consequences. Linda said beautifully, adoption is not repetition, it is the recertain in new culture mirror. And then Shakespeare lives not only in books and classroom, he always dance, cries and fight on the big screen. Every world adaptation, that's a magic of universal theme. This is reference. And thank you. If you have any question, you can ask me.
Bhargavi, so my question is, how do modern adaptations portray Lady Macbeth differently from Shakespeare's original play?
Okay. So answer is modern adaptations show Lady Macbeth as a more complex and a human character. She was influenced by ambitions, guilt, and social pressures, and also highlight a patriarchy society in this on era. And if you anyone? Okay.
Hello, Bhargavi.
Yes.
My question is that why do filmmakers adapt Macbeth for modern audiences?
So answer is filmmaker adapt Macbeth to make its theme of ambitions and guilt and moral conflict relevant to contemporary society. Each adaptations reflect the political and psychological concern of in this era society. Thank you. This is from my side.
Learn to face camera. That also, there is a camera. When you will watch your video, you will find that you are talking with the viewers. You will look in the camera.
કંઈક મિસ્ટેક જાગી છે.
Hello everyone, my name is DIVYABEN and today's my presentation topic is Aphra The Rover as a reflection of restoration society and women's position. This is my academic details and presentation details. And my research question is, how does Aphra Ben's The Rover reveals and resist the patriarchal structure of Restoration England throughout its representation of female agency, sexuality, and authorships? And my hypothesis is Ben's dramatic strategies, including the use of disguise, satire, and female-centered perspective, serve both as a artistic expression and as an act of feminist resistance against restoration gender norms. So let's start. This is a table of content. Introduction. Aphra Behn, born on 1640 to 1689, was the first professional female writer in English literature. She was also worked as a playwright, and her famous play The Rover highlight Restoration Society, gender norms, and female agency. In her play, she shows how a woman can only how woman only shows as a object in play. A woman cannot mostly roam around the city, but in play she's challenging rules against men's world. Historical context: the Restoration era. Time frame is 1660 to 1689, following the returns of Charles II. In Restoration era, theater plays the most important role because it gives platform to women to speak or and make their position in society. Also, in her play, shows that how her main female character is also challenging men's world rules and regulation of Restoration Society, that a woman cannot roam outside or speak against the men. But in her play, the main female characters are also roaming around the city, challenging men's, also the society's rules. Aphra Behn's life and significance. Aphra Behn, born around 1614, was one of the first English women to earn a living throughout writing, a remarkable achievement in a male-dominated society. She worked as a playwright, poet, and novelist, creating works that both entertained and Restoration audience and critiqued the patriarchal structure of her time. Her success as a professional writer paved the way for other women to pursue literary careers and challenge the culture norms that restricted women's independence. As Sarah Morris observes, Behn's career demonstrates that a woman could negotiate both economic independence and creative freedom in a society structured against her. A summary of the play. In her play, Carnival setting in Naples is the most important setting because in her play, Carnival is a symbolize the temporary freedom zone for women. Main female character like Helena, Angelica, they both are shown strong and they challenge the women. They challenge men's and rules of the Restoration Society. Also, the play. Play explores the theme of love, desire, freedom, deception, and social constraints. Woman's position in the play. Female character as a negator of the space and power. In Behn's play, as you know, The Rover, in play, main female character Helena and Angelica, both shown as a strong woman character who challenge men in the play and never give up because they Aphra Ben want to show that women can also be strong in men's world. Also, by showing women strong, she satired a restoration society. Sexual politics and agency. In Rover, most of we can say that sexual politics and agency is most important. Sexual politics in the Rover serves as a site of power negotiation. In the play, when a male character is tried to sexual politics in the Rover serves as a site of power negotiations. Women employ intelligence, charm, and disguise to assert agency, but the male-dominated society will dictate the limit of this autonomy. These dynamics reflect broader anxieties about women's roles and right in restoration society. Aphra Ben also used flirtation, disguise, and wit to assert autonomy. Helena and Angelica challenged male authority throughout intellect and sexuality. A reflection of restoration society. Behn's play mirrors restoration England's complexity, highlighting libertine behavior, social hierarchy, and gender restriction. Public arenas become stage for negating power and desire, and the play critiques societal double standard, illustrating the between male and liberty and female constraint. Critique of female explanation. The ethical and societal implication of sexual explanation in the Rover. Female characters face both literal and symbolic threats, revealing a world where women's bodies and choice are polished. The play critiques this structure while also despiting women's strategies for survival and assertion. Behn's contribution to women's literary position. Aphra Behn's literary career itself was a revolutionary. Throughout the Rover, she foregrounds female subjectivity and critiques socially constraint. Her works paved the way for women writers, highlighting the importance of voice, agency, and representation of in literature. Conclusion. In the Rover, Aphra Ben masterfully captured the contradiction and complexity of restoration society. Also, the play serves as both a reflection and critique of the patriarchal structure and that defined the restoration era, using wit, irony, and realism to expose the limited agency afforded to women. This is our the reference, and thank you. If you have any query, please ask. Feel free to ask questions.
So, Divya, my question is, how does the Rover challenge traditions, notions of gender and power?
The Rover challenge a traditional notion of gender by showing in her play as a woman as an uh, active agents, and subvert the societal norms and limitations placed upon them. Anyone?
My question is that how does the rover reflect social norms of Restoration England?
The play reflects the societal norms of Restoration England by portraying the limited role of women, the double standard of morality, and the social hierarchies of the time. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Hello everyone, myself BHALIYA. Today I'm going to present a Carnival and the Politics of Desire, Global and the Contemporary Dimensions of Freedom and Resistance in Aphra Behn's The Rover. So this is my academic information as well as presentation information, table of contents, and the research question is, how does the carnivalesque structure in the Aphra Behn's The Rover functions not as a mere background, but as a critical space for the strategic negotiations of female desire and power? And to what extent does this mechanism predict the enduring political utility of global contemporary carnival traditions? Hypothesis: the carnivalesque structure in Aphra Behn's The Rover function as a critical politically enacted mechanism, a performative contract that allows marginalized female characters to strategically leverage desire and anonymity for negotiated autonomy. This mechanism of covert individualized resistance establishes an enduring global generology of performance, directly preceding and informing the overt collective assertions of identity and political critics visible in contemporary carnival tradition. Introduction. The play and the setting. First, we have to discuss the setting of play. Aphra Behn's The Rover, which is published in 1677, the Restoration comedy stages a complex negotiation of desire and power against the backdrop of the Naples Carnival. The play was written during a period of the political tensions in England, parallelly the chaos of the carnival setting. The core conflict. The play interrogates gender, social names, and the patriarchal control, using the festival as a licensed space for transgression, where social roles are temporarily blurred. Objective. They explored the carnival as a dialective site of the freedom and constraint, linking Behn's critique of restoration patriarchy to the enduring politics of global contemporary carnivalesque resistance. Carnival, the dialective of license. So the Bakhtin's framework, carnival is a temporary zone of inversions and subversion characterized by the humor, bodily excess, and the suspicions of hierarchy, forming a second life. It means that second life, it is a freedom to outside the official realm. The critical refinement. This is not a true freedom, but the licensed safety valve, a controlled space where transgression is momentarily permitted, but often content by the inevitable return to order. Key analytical focus: how characters leverages this temporary license to enact permanent social changes, transforming momentary chaos into the tangible gain. Applications to Behn's. A carnival provides a performative contract allowing marginalized characters, especially women like the Helena and Angelica, to execute tragic maneuvers otherwise impossible under strict social surveillance. Carnival in the Rover, the strategic setting. Anonymity as an agency. The Naples Carnival provide public anonymity through masks, directly empowering female characters to move without reputational consequences. Characters mobility. Helena challenges her fate as a nun by actively seeking a husband. Florinda evade her unwanted arranged marriage by taking to the street. Their physical movement is directly enabled by the chaos of streets. The paradox. Carnival is simultaneously a site of the liberations and the extreme danger, like the constant threat of rape and assaults for the women, underscoring the limits of the female and autonomy even in the supposed free zone. The politics of desire, leverage power. Desire is not merely romantic, but a fluid currency inseparable from the social and the political hierarchies that detects access to power and marriage. Female leverages. Helena and Angelica strategically leverages that disability one for a desired marital contract, the other for the personal and economic power, turning themselves from a passive object of the male gaze into the active agents. Male privilege. His libertinism exposes the unregulated privileges of the patriarchal desire, providing a constant threat that frames the women's actions as high task, risk, lacking legal protection. The festival transformed desire into the critical, politically anchored performance that the challenges genders and assumptions. How the patriarchy, how the politics add in that manner. Masquerades as the counter hegemonic tool. Mask as a political instrument. Masquerade grants temporary intersectional immunity, allowing women to operate outside rigid gender and the class roles without the fear of being recognized and judged. Gender inversions. By moving freely and choosing partners, women temporarily invert the traditional gaze and innovative roles, momentarily controlling the terms of courtship. Performative subversion. The blurring of public-private sphere exposes the hypocrisy of the social norms, functioning as the direct critic of restoration morality. Freedom and its limit, the negotiation. The inevitable returns. Carnival freedom is a structurally temporary. Social hierarchies must reserve themselves and the fun must end. The real victory. Behn's critique lies in the negotiated outcome. While the system returns, the women have used the interregnum to secure better terms. Helena marries Wilmore and Florinda marries Belleville. Behn critiques illusionary freedom, emphasizing that the true political act is strategic negotiations of terms within the oppressive structure. Spectacles and the political economy of desire. Visual critics like the costumes, public displays, and the festival environment highlight the complex relationship between power, social class, and the desire as visible commodities. Angelica Bianca's role. Her high visibility as a curtain, it is the spectacles of the commodifications. She has effectively prized her desire, revealing how even resistance can be capitalized upon. Agency through visibility. Characters exploit carnival visibility to control the social gaze and the negotiated their autonomy publicly, making a spectacles out of their choices. Spectacles is both pleasure and the site of the class and economic commentary, exposing the market forces behind the social relationship. Global Carnival first. The generology of resistance, the shift covert to overt. Trinidad Carnival exemplifies the evolutions of the carnivalesque from the covert anonymous resistance of Nepal to overt collective assertions of the cultural identity. It is the annual Trinidad Carnival which suggests that the identity and the freedom against the authority. Historical and context. Born out of the emancipations and the resistance to colonial power, Trinidad Carnival is an active assertion against control. Connection to Behn. Both contexts shows freedom as actively constructed and performed, demonstrating the carnival structure's lasting utility for the marginalized across different centuries and the geographies. Global Carnival second. Enduring utility. Europe. Traditional European carnivals like the Venice continues to meditate class and historical memory, keeping alternative histories. So carnival has many types. Someone is the freedom, someone is the keeping the historical memories, and someone is the resistance or rebellions. Latin and America. Carnival functions as the critical platform for the social commentary and the negotiations of political identity, often provide a space for the injurious or marginalized group to assert visibility. And gender politics and the strategic performance, like the Helena strategy, Angelica strategy, the Carnival space remains a vital feminist performative space globally, allowing for the temporary yet crucial dismantling of gender expectations through the costumes and the performance. Masquerade in contemporary performance, like the modern theatre revivals of the Rover, often amplify the spectacles and audience interpretations to emphasize the intersectional, post-colonial, and the feminist readings. Synthesis hired the Rover illustrate the three facts of the Carnival: the dialect of license, desire at the critical agency, and the global performative contrast. And here is the conclusion that Carnival traditions are cross-culture, enduring expressions of identity, resistance, and the creativity transcending simple entertainment. Behn's Naples Carnival provide a foundational dramatic space for the exploring these tensions, establish a dramatic formula for critics. From Naples to Trinidad and Rio, the carnivalesque structure remains a powerful, universal social and the political tool for the negotiate the boundaries of the control, linking historical and contemporary performance. These are the references, and thank you. And questions are welcome.
So my question is, how does the carnival setting in the Rover help women like Helena and Angelica challenge patriarchal control?
The Carnival in the Rover gives women like Helena and Angelica, through the disguise and anonymity, they can step out of the patriarchy and get whatever, let them act, speak, and choose partner beyond the patriarchal limits. It is the freedom for them, and it is a carnival. It is a very significance, the significance festivities for the women, for the freedom and discriminations.
So, Chetna, my question is, what ways does Aphra used to Carnival anticipate the political and cultural power of modern global carnivals such as those in Trinidad or Rio?
Behn's Carnival anticipation modern global carnivals by showing how performance and celebrations can be expressed resistance and identity and the freedom, just like Trinidad or Rio. So, thank you. This is my side.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Jency, and today my topic is patriarchy, performance, and the politics of desire in the Rover. Here's the academic information about me. Here's the table of contents. So the research question: how patriarchy, performance, and the politics of desire reflect in the Aphra Behn's The Rover. And here's the hypothesis: Aphra Behn's The Rover uses the breakdown of patriarchal power to argue that the regime of the brother, which replaces it, is not a liberation but a new unstable form of governance. This new order, characterized by competitive male desire and performance, ultimately fails both women and the state, offering no true justice or security. And here's the introduction. Aphra Behn's The Rover is not just a restoration comedy but a sharp critique of power structure set during the interregnum. The play explores a world where the traditional patriarchal father king is absent. This vacuum creates a patriarchal society where brothers and libertines compete for dominance and women navigate new, often dangerous forms of agency. The play uses its historical setting to comment on the political and sexual crisis of Behn's own time, particularly the reign of Charles II. The regime of the brother, a new power structure with the father king absent, power shifts to a same generation group of men. This is what there is the Juliet Flower McKenna calls the regime of the brother in the system. Fraternity, brotherhood replaces paternity, fatherhood, but it does not create equality. Instead, it leads to constant competition among men for control over women and resources. The patriarchy ruled by the father is absent in the play, and patriarchy ruled by the brothers is the active power dynamic, and the result, society based on competition, not care, where male bonds are often prioritized over female well-being. So the three siblings and the competing desires. The play's central conflict is driven by the three siblings, Pedro, Florinda, and Helena, who each embody a different type of desire and rebellion against the father's will. And here's the table where we can see that Don Pedro's desire is to control, desire not to desire, which opposes by the father plotting to marry Florinda to his friend Antonio to serve his own interests. And Florinda's desire is that courtly and romantic mutual love, which opposes by the father refusing the wealthy suitor chosen for her to pursue well. Helena and her desire is to libertine, witty, and equal partnership, refusing the nunnery to actively pursue Wilmore. Wilmore, the libertine as patriarchal sovereign. So the Rover Wilmore is embodiment of the new patriarchal order, and which often linked to the historical era of Rochester and the womanizing King Charles II, which he represents a charismatic but irresponsible power. His wit and sexual appeal are magnetic but come with constancy and a threat of violence. For example, the near rape of the Florinda and a sign, not a father. He is a double masculine sign of the absent king, both heroic and mock heroic, but never a true protective patriarch. Wilmore becomes therefore the double masculine sign of the banished Cavalier, both past and present, both heroic, mock heroic, but always designating the absence of the father. Performance, disguise, and the blurring identities, where we can see the carnival setting of the play is a world of performance where identity is fluid and social roles are destabilized. This is the crucial for exploring the politics desire. Masquerade is the character where character use masks and disguise to pursue their desires, and blurring virginhood, the distinction between the virgin Helena Florinda and the whore is Angelica Lucita is intentionally blurred. For example, Helena, dressed as a gypsy, actively courts Wilmore, while Florida is an undress is mistaken for a prostitute. Angelica Bianca, the prostituted body politic. Angelica Bianca is one of the play's most complex figure, where she serves as a powerful metaphor for the body politic under a patriarchal rule, where female subjectivity, which she initially asserts her independence and betrayal by the sovereigns. We can see Wilmore standing in for Charles II and seduces and abandons her, breaking a contract of trust. And the next point is a political warning, where her tragic represent the nation's disaffection with her monarch, who treats with her political obligations as frivolously as his love affairs. The importance of the new order, surprising but critical theme in the play is importance. Wilmore's importance. Angelica tells him that I scorn to cool that fire I cannot raise. His libertine desire is so self-centered it cannot sustain a mutual trusting relationship. And the next point is the king's importance, where we can say this echoes contemporary critics of the Charles II, like Rochester's Scepter Lampoon, which portrayed him as politically weak and ineffectual despite his sexual appetite. Wilmore's importance is like the kings in Rochester's poem is not, of course, literal. On the contrary, it is a trope for the mutual incompatibility of heroic and courtly desire for loss of trust between the merry monarch and the body politic. Here's the conclusion where we can see the Rover ends with marriages, but it is not simple happy ending. Behn leaves us with a pressing question like the regime of the brother is unstable, offering no true replacement for patriarchy authority. Women's agency is possible, but remains perilous in a world dominated by competitive male desire. The play is dominatory. Ben Aralist wants that without responsible patriarchal care from its leaders, the nation, the body politic remains vulnerable and discontented. Ben Rivers offers an early modern representation of Juliet Flower McCannell's second generation regime of the brother, which forms out of that frame of mind that takes the attitude of a freedom from tradition, the past, and the ancestor. The Ben uses the stage to perform radical critique of her time, showing that the politics of the bedroom are inextricably linked to the politics of the state. Here's the learning outcome, and here are the resources. Thank you. Any question?
So, Chancy, my question is, what role does performance play in the expressing desire in the Rover?
Performance allow characters, especially women, like they desire they should be like a manipulative and their desire should be free. They should be freely say whatever they want, and it also expose gender hypocrisy.
So my question is, how does the Rover challenge patriarchal control over women's desire?
Aphra Ben challenges patriarchy by portraying women like Florida and Helena, who asserts sexual and emotional independence, and which defying male dominance and social restrictions. Thank you.
Hello everyone, greetings to all. I'm Sihajat Chokya, and today I'll deal with the topic Aphra Ben's The Rover, Gender, Power and the Carnival Spirit, a Bakhtinian perspective. Here are my personal and academic information with my presentation details. Here is the table of content. And my research question for this presentation is how does Aphra Ben use the carnival spirit in the Rover to highlight issues of gender and power? This question links Ben's play with Bakhtin idea of carnival, where disguise, festivity and role reversal create a space for women to negotiate freedom within a restrictive society. Hypothesis on this research question is that how Aphra Ben uses carnival not just as a comic entertainment but as a way to question patriarchy through masks, festivity and temporary inversion of roles. Characters like Helena and Florinda gain agency, making the Rover an early feminist challenge to social norms. Okay, let's start with the introduction of Aphra Ben and the Rover, part 1. Aphra Ben is one of the first professional women writers in English, critic gender roles, social hierarchies and patriarchal power structures. She also worked for as a spy for Charles II during the Restoration era, but after completion of his work, she didn't paid by the monarchy. After that, she started writing and she worked as a playwright to fulfill her needs. basic needs. The Rover, which is published in 1677, Part 1, restoration comedy set during Carnival in Naples, a time when social rules are temporarily suspended. It is a time of Oliver Cromwell. Helena and Florinda navigate love, desire, and patriarchal constraint using wit, masquerade, and disguise. Carnival is a method, masquerade and festivity, temporary inversion of hierarchies allow women to assert agency. Grotesque realism, emphasis on desire, fasting sexual pursuit, celebrates life and challenge puritanical repression. Dialogism and marketplace speech, witty, boldly dialogue, critic norms and subsumes authority. Theatrical link, Bakhtin's carnivalesque frame, Carnival as a second life for the people, where mask, festivity, and rule reversal destabilize official meanings, as in the play, Helena, Florinda, Valeria, and their governess disguise as a gypsy and go to Carnival to enjoy Carnival, as Helena want to enjoy Carnival before she go to in nunhood. In the Rover, this enables female characters to temporarily uncrown patriarchy and negotiate their own desires. Bakhtin's theory of Carnival, in the Bakhtin's book, In the Rebel and His World, Decoding the Chaos, Carnival as a second life, Carnival as an inversion, temporarily suspends everyday rules, hierarchies, and inverted. Mask and disguise, fluid identity, hidden desire surface, as Helena flirt with the Wilmore when she disguised as gypsy girl. Role reversals, low status figures gain temporary agency, symbolic uncrowning, as Helena also disguised as a boy when she found out that Wilmore is somewhere is cheating everyone. Grotesque body and humor, bodily excesses and exaggeration challenge authority. Dialogic language, multiple voices intersect space for critic. Carnival is a temporary utopia where norms, authority, and hierarchies are questioned and inverted. Carnival in the Rover, applying the carnivalesque idea of Bakhtin. Masquerade and disguise, Helena and Florinda use masks to move freely and escape social restriction, as their brother and father want that Helena will go in nunhood and Florinda will marry a rich man, but both of them are not ready, but they are not able to question them, as Helena is powerfully question everything, but Florinda is not able to question anything. So this, when they use masks to disguise themselves to escape social restriction. Festivity and public rivalry. Carnival setting allow humor, flirtation, and risk-taking, as when Helena, disguised as a gypsy, she flirt with Wilmore. Role reversal and subversion. Women pursue love, resist and arranged marriage, and outwit men. Comedy and bodily humor, slapstick, sexual indulgence, and bodily excesses subvert authority. Behn uses Carnival to give women temporary agency and challenge patriarchal norms. Gender and power dynamics in the Rover. Carnival is a space for female agency where women are disguised themselves and to go to enjoy a carnival, as they are restricted to go outside without anyone's supervision. Challenging patriarchy, Carnival has suspends social rules. Women gain temporary freedom, as Helena, Valeria, and Florinda gain temporary freedom with the help of their governess. Mask and disguise, Helena and Florinda adopt fluid identities, move freely, and manipulate women, as Helena is disguised as gypsy, and she is freely move and fluid, and she is manipulating men like Wilmore and others. Active desires, Helena boldly pursues Wilmore, subverts traditional female modesty. Role reversal and power. Angelica Bianca uses wealth, beauty for influence, female characters outwit men, limits of freedom, treats mistaken identity and male gaze, show liberation in is temporary. Triumph. Women secure love, marriage, and their terms, lasting impact within patriarchal society. Here is the double nature of Carnival and the aspect of life, renewal, and death decay. Carnival in the liberating side, fertility, growth, and grotesque body as a celebration of life. On the other side, in the dark side, temporary defeat, mortality, and it shows as a double nature, shows the deconstruction. On the other hand, freedom and equality, chaos and violence. In this aspect, libertation side shows that social hierarchies, suspended authority are uncrowned. In the dark side, norms suspected aggression and exploitation possibly. In aspect of universal laughter and inactive and profanity, liberating side shows the mocks authority, purifies united community. And in the dark side, Valency gate, cursing and threats reflecting danger. In the application in the Rover, freedom on the positive aspect, mask and disguise allow Helena and Florinda to pursue love and challenge social rules as they disguise as gypsies, and 3 times Helena disguises boy. Threat that shows the negative side. Male characters attempt a sexual assault, highlighting fragility and of female freedom, as Florinda is become the victim of rape during 3 times. First in Pamplona, second time when Wilmore drunkly tried to rape her, and third time when Blunt tried to rape her. Carnival offers temporary feminist agency but exposes women to gender danger perfectly, illustrating Bakhtin's ambivalence. Performance and theatricality. Stage as a carnival space. Naples, carnival. Chronotope, blending play and carnival reality. Stage becomes a zone of freedom and inversion where women are playing such a vulgar character, like the way Helena uses the word, which are very vulgar. And in the second part, Helena's character is vulgar, as the time when women are not allowed to do such a thing. These things are performing on stage. Noblewoman acts fortune tellers, exiled men display temporary baldness, disguise and mask. Masks create fluid identities, enabling female agency and role reversal. Double voice dialogue combines noble decorum with the profane, playful language of the carnival. Performance as a social critic. Comedy ridicules authority, arranged marriage, male possessiveness, societal hypocrisy, as Florinda and Helena's father decide that Helena will go in nunhood and Florinda will marry a rich man. In the meta-theatrical awareness, characters acknowledge disguise, emphasizing that social itself is a performative, negotiable system. In the modern relevance, we can see that mask and disguise, fluid identities navigate restriction. Carnival, unofficial space like online zones to challenge norm, as we are using social media to show the unofficial part of ourselves, which is we don't want to accept, which are we showing on social media. Managing visibility parallels modern identity and performance. In sexual politics, Helena pursuit of love challenges patriarchal authority, expose sexual double standards, male freedom versus female repression. Dialogic challenges early feminist critics still relevant today. Ambivalence of freedom, liberation comes with the risk, assault and danger, which also happened with Florinda in this play. Precautions agency mirrors modern gender struggles, true empowerment, negotiated temporary and cautions. And here is the conclusion that feminist power of Carnival. Carnival as a resistance. The Rover uses Carnival to challenge patriarchal authority, turning festivity into a space of subversion. Women's agency. Helena and Florinda employs mask, disguise and role reversal to negotiate love and autonomy, uncrowning male control. Ambivalence of freedom. Temporary liberation comes with threats and danger, showing that agency is precocious. Enduring legacy, Behn's use of dialogic language and performance makes the play a pioneering feminist critique of social and sexual hierarchies. Here is the learning outcomes, and here are the reference that I used to prepare this presentation. This is from my side. Thank you. Please feel free to ask if you have any question.
So my question is, in what ways does Bakhtin's idea of the carnivalesque remain relevant to the modern discussions of freedom and identity?
Okay, thank you for the question. Bakhtin's idea of carnival is that shows the carnival as a second life, which we are using today, the tool of social media, to show the hidden side of ourselves, which we can connect with the modern way, that during that time people disguise their self like Helena and Florinda and Valeria are doing. They become gypsy once Helena become boy, and they are enjoying their freedom, which we are doing today to show ourselves on social media, that what we want to show and that we want to live freely on social media. Any other question?
Hello. So, Sejad, my question is, how does Aphra use the carnival setting in the role to challenge traditional gender roles?
Carnival, which is set in Nepal at that time, where women are not allowed freely to go anywhere, or not allowed to go anywhere without anyone's supervision, specifically male supervision, where Aphra uses character like Helena, Florinda, Valeria, and Angelica that are freely moved and enjoying the carnival, that idea. This is how this is what the answer of this question. Thank you so much again. This is from my side.
Good morning, everyone. So I start my presentation topic on John Donne, metaphysical poetry, focus on exploring concepts, themes, and philosophical depth. It introduces about his poetic style, techniques, and major ideas. Next begins with introduction to metaphysical poetries. Explain the meaning of metaphysical. It means beyond physical reality. Mentions how John Dryden and Samuel Johnson first used the term. Highlights key themes: love, life, death, religion, and the universe. Emphasize that metaphysical poetries blend intellect and emotion. Shows that Donne, Herbert, Marvell, and Vaughan, he was greatest metaphysical poets. Metaphysical poets poetry is a highly intellectual style that emerged in the 17th century. And many writers like George Herbert, John Donne, and Andrew Marvell used wit, paradox, and complex imagery to express themes. Donne stood out for his bold, original, and voice that fused emotion with intellectual. And then next, John Donne. John Donne was famous for its metaphysical poetries. He describes his revolutionary break from traditional Elizabethan poetry, focus on his intellectual depth and psychological analysis and emotional intensity. Mentions his major works, holy sonnet, songs, and sonnet elegies, and established Donne as the central figures of metaphysical poetry. John Donne is considered the greatest metaphysical poet. His poetry blends intense personal emotion with deep philosophical reflection. His work often reflects on faith, morality, and human experience, showing a unique mix of passion and reason. Next, features of metaphysical poetry. Main characteristics of the style: fusion of intellect and feelings, use of concepts, complex metaphors, a logical argument and debate structure, abrupt beginnings and conversational turn, colonial language, and irregular rhythms. Explains that Donne's poem often read like mini dramas or dialogues. His metaphysical poetry is known for its originality, intellectual turn, and complexity. Dramatic dialogue and unconventional vocabulary at depth. These features make metaphysical poetry challenging but deeply rewarding. And next, use of concepts and imagery. Explain how metaphysical poetry uses surprising comparisons. Concepts connect unrelated ideas to reveal deeper truths. Example: the flea
and valediction. The Flea is the most famous poem of John Donne. He describes loves and union symbolized by a flea, and valediction, a compass representing unbreakable love, shows how Donne's metaphors explore science, religions, navigation, and traits. Next, argumentation and style. Donne uses of logical reasoning and persuasive structure. Poems feel like debates or speeches, full of evidence and counterable arguments. Abrupt opening, busy old fool, unruly son. Grab attention immediately. Original vocabulary from science and everyday life gives freshness. Done unities patience with reason to explore a complex idea. He builds his points logically using reasoning to support emotional idea. This argumentative style reflects Renaissance interest in classical rhetoric and logical thinking. Analyzes the flea. The flea is used as an extended metaphor for physical and spiritual union. Donne argues chastity is insignificant. Their blood is already mingled. Even after the flea is killed, he continues his witty arguments, shows Donne's intellectual playfulness and mastery of conceits in the flea, showing wits and cleverness. This poem highlights Donne's ability to turn an ordinary image into a complex symbol of love and union. Next, the themes most famous theme is love, death, religion, soul, and existence. Is Donne's metaphysical poetry, passionate yet spiritual beyond physical desire and death, not feared, seen as a transformation, not an end. Religion explores the sin, forgiveness, and divine love, soul, and existence, interplay of intellect and emotion and faith. Donne explores life's deepest questions through poetic debates and metaphor. Style and language of John Donne, frequent use of questions and commands to create drama and dialogues, simple diction contrast with Elizabethan ornamentation, wit, paradox, and irony challenge traditional thinking. Intimate conversational voice pull readers into the speaker's thought. Next, conclusion. John Donne transformed English poetry by using reason and emotion. His work explores eternal ideas, love, death, God, and the soul. Conceits and argument reveal profound truths through poetic innovation. Donne remains a timeless poet whose work bridges intellect and feeling. This is reference, and thank you. Now question.
Riti, my question is that what makes metaphysical poetry different from the earlier Elizabethan style?
So, metaphysical poetry is more intellectual and logical and emotional. It's blend reason and feeling to explore deep spiritual and human thought. Next.
Hello, Riti. So my question is, why does John Donne use unusual comparisons and imagery in his poems?
Donne uses unusual imagery to connect simple objects with complex ideas. His concepts explores love, faith, and emotion in original thought provoking ways.
ક્લાસરૂમમાં જઈને હાલશે ને? આમાં નહીં આવે? ઈ નથી.
Google Classroom, still many of your names are not proper. Like Riddhi, capital R is not there. Riddhi Sarvaiya. Some photographs are not visible, so that also you check. Jaipal also, capital J is not there. So check this, your name, and you connect with the Google profile ID. So your photograph will automatically come here.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Rudra Upadhyay, and today's my presentation topic is John Donne's metaphysical conceits, tradition, innovation, and thematic depth. So here are my academic information. This is table of content. And today's my research question of this presentation is, how does John Donne use metaphysical conceit to transfer patriarchal wit in his poetry? Hypothesis would be Donne revokes patriarchal imagery into metaphysical conceit that combine wit with intellectual and spiritual depth, making them central to his poetic meaning. So let's begin. So here is our John Donne, 1572 to 1631. He was a famous metaphysical poet. His conceit, extended and surprising metaphors are both intellectual and emotional. His conceit bringing love, death, religion, and philosophy. Whereas Petrarchan poet relied on graceful hyperbole, which is basically connected to nature. Far from them, Donne reimagined conceit as an argumentative and logical and spiritual device. So first, let's understand what is the concept of conceit. So it is a basic and elaborate extended metaphor that creates surprising connections. In Petrarchan poetry, conceit often involves exaggeration of love and longing, whereas Donne inherits this rhetorical tradition, but reshape it with intellectual and rigor and dramatic power. His metaphysical conceit combined philosophy, science, theology with intense personal emotion and embodying both wit and depth. So he was far better than Petrarchan conceit writers. So Donne versus Petrarchan wit. We all know Petrarchan poets uses conceit, but John Donne reformed the conceit, the use of conceit. Donne does not discard Petrarchan convince fully, but revoke them. While Petrarchan poets use hyperbole to express love's intensity, Donne takes the exaggeration literary and developed it into a logical or spiritual argument. For example, where Petrarchan poets spoke of dying for love, it is a metaphorical symbol for dying for love. So Donne probes the idea of dying in very intellectual and serious meaning to questioning the boundaries between life, love, and death. So now I have selected some famous poems as analyzing example of conceit of John Donne. First, Death Be Not Proud. So it is one of the holy sonnet by John Donne. And here in this poem, death is mocked and diminished compared to sleep and emphasizing Christian triumph over mortality. Second is Sun Rising. So sun compared with a fully and busy old fool. So it intruding on a lover's world. The flea, a trivial insect, become a metaphor for intimacy and union. And fourth and a very famous example is a valediction, forbidden mourning. Here in this poetry, Donne compared himself and his wife with two legs of a compass. So one is moving, that is Donne, and one is taking place is his wife. Then innovation through imagery. So how Donne creating a new innovation through a basic and very common imagery. So compass imagery, which recently I have talked, which is used in valediction. Then dynamic imagery of death. He portrays death as transformation rather than finality. And then defamiliarization of images. Sun is mocked in the sun rising and the flea is exalted. Like here in this picture, flea is very basic, common, ordinary thing, but done by Donne, it gains metaphysical depth. So Donne's rebellion against tradition, patriarchal tradition, his conceit dissolved conventional poetic images and transferred them into vehicle of intellectual exploration. My overall argument of this presentation is how Donne's usage of metaphysical conceit is it transfer patriarchal exaggeration into serious arguments. His conceit work through surprising juxtaposition of trivial and cosmic. Then radical innovation. He defamiliarized conventional images, making them central to philosophical inquiry. Thus, Donne's conceit are at once rooted in tradition and radical innovation. So, let's conclude this presentation by saying that John Donne's conceit are central to his poetic achievement by reshaping Petrarchan hyperbole into ordinary images and transforming traditional symbols through wit and paradox. Donne forged a distinctive poetic style. Donne's conceits exemplify both innovation and depth, ensuring his lasting influence on upcoming English poetry. So this was all about John Donne and his use of metaphysical conceit. Here are my references. Now, if you have any question, you can ask.
Rudra, my question is that which kind of strained images Donne has used in his poetry?
I would like to give your answer by using an example. In Donne's poetry of flea, he uses a very ordinary image of a flea by exemplify it with very extended metaphor, compares between the barrier between lover and Donne himself. Then, any question? Yeah. Okay.
How does John Donne use conceits to express complex emotion?
So, for example, in Donne's poetry, "Death Be Not Proud," he exemplify a concept of death, which is basically connected to Anglican faith. So he transferred his personal Anglican belief into a very strange and complex imagery and comparison of death with mortality. So this was all about my presentation. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is my topic is about Herbert's cage, the collar, and the search for self. These are my academic and presentation details. This is the table of contents. So my research question is, how does George Herbert's poem, The Collar, show the struggle between rules and freedom? In what way does this 17th century conflict connect to how people today deal with identity, pressure, and expectations. Hypothesis would be in the collar. Herbert uses changes in tone, strong images like the collar and the cage, and the speaker's inner thoughts to show his fight between obedience and rebellion. This emotional journey from anger to peace makes the poem timeless because it reflects how people in every age try to balance society's demands with their own need for freedom and self-expressions. Now about introduction. So the collar, written in 17th century by George Herbert, it shows a man struggling with his faith and duties. Herbert feels trapped by rules and responsibilities, and he wants freedom but also fears losing meaning. Even after 400 years, the poem feels modern because we also face pressure, stress, and confusion about what we truly want. The collar stands for control and duty, things that tie us down like jobs, expectations, or social pressures. Herbert's anger, frustration, and sudden peace at the end reflect the emotional ups and downs young people often feel today. By studying Herbert's struggle, we understand our own how to balance freedom with responsibilities. So, the experience of feeling trapped in past and in present. Herbert Scholar is the clerical band representing his religious vocation, his vows, and the strict duties in the 17th century church. The rope of saints he breaks is a fragile structure of his forced contentment. The collar represents any restrictive identity, role, or duty that becomes tight, uncomfortable, and suffocating. Our modern collars. Today we feel the same suffocation from performance anxiety, digital uniforms, and endless obligation. I struck the board, the outburst, and modern rebellion. The moment I struck the board is a sudden powerful no. Herbert's physical action saw him instantly throwing away his church duties and the strict rules he had to follow. Outburst is a major life breakdown. It's furious, necessary fight to say, I want my own life back against the heavy pressure of rules and emotional exhaustion. Today, we see this same fight against oppressive collars in modern ways also, refusing to follow strict, boring rules, choosing instead to find genuine freedom in how you learn or work. The deep need to disconnect from demanding social media platforms or quite a stressful career path that feels like it's crushing your soul. Whether expressed by slamming a desk, skipping an obligation, or making a bold stand, the goal is always the same, a powerful, necessary moment of pushing back against an identity or constraint that feels wrong, outdated, or fundamentally unfair. Now about no harvest but a thorn, burnout and disappointment. Herbert expects a spiritual fruit but receive only pain. This is the ancestor of a modern burnout, working endlessly and still feeling empty or unsatisfied. Connect it to the pursuit of happiness also, where the hero sacrifice, but happiness always seems just out of reach. The anxiety epidemic among youth, the sense that hard work leads merely to more exhaustion and not the expected fruit mirrors Herbert's pain perfectly. Now about fantasy of escape. The poem speaker dreams of quieting everything and chasing endless pleasure. Modern escape routes include being watching Euphoria, endless scrolling, all-night parties, chasing the next adventure, anything to avoid feeling dull or trapped. But as in the sense, this show none of these fixed last. Like the poem's fantasy, the pleasure fades and the emptiness returns. Even animated films like Inside Out show that escaping sadness by seeking only happy feeling breaks real freedom is different. Now about the rope of saints, the self-imposed cage. The speaker admits his prison was built from rope of saint, which petty thoughts have made. The chains were not just external duties, they were internalized doubts and self-imposed limitations. Modern chains of the mind. Today, our ropes of saint are built from comparison culture, self-doubt, and the internal battle. child, the moment of grace in art and life, that quiet voice, self-acceptance and turning point. At his emotional breaking point, Herbert's speaker is silenced by one word, child. His only reply, my lord, significance, this is not a punishment, but an unconditional invitation back to a fundamental identity. It cuts through the chaos of his self-imposed struggle, the echo today, external compassion, the support of loved one or counselor, and about in internal wisdom, a moment of a profound self-acceptance where the inner critic finally quotes, the power of you are enough. This is this moment of recognition is the true beginning of authentic freedom. It is the voice that gently reminds us you are inherently worthy, regardless of struggles or achievements. The root of restlessness, what real freedom means. True freedom, is it running away or facing yourself? Herbert finds peace not by escaping every boundary, but by accepting his identity. Peace is an internal state found through acceptance, not continuous rebellion. And the definition of real freedom is the understanding of the self, self-knowledge, knowing who you truly are, separate from expectation or comparison culture, achieving peace by knowing when to challenge external collars and when surrender brings greater relief. The model conclusion, the profound message of the collar is to shift the search for meaning. It is not about achieving no rules. It is about achieving the real self-knowledge and inner calm, the quiet voice that resolves all conflict. And now about conclusion, that your own color. Herbert's poem reflects the universal struggle between duty and desire. The color symbolizes both old religious rules and modern pressures. Real freedom isn't just rebelling, but understanding and accepting what truly binds us. Herbert's turning point is peace found within, not escaping. His journey ends with self-acceptance. Today's youth must ask, what is my color? How can self-knowledge transform restlessness into peace? These are my learning outcomes. And this is the references I taken. Thank you. Any question?
So Shivani, my question is to you. In modern terms, what is the speaker expecting when he says he expects spiritual fruit, but receives only pain?
The speaker wants self-satisfaction or good fruit.
So Shivani, my question is, what does the final "My Lord" replay from the speaker show?
The speaker's show is surrender or self-acceptance of his true identity. Okay, thank you. That is from my side.
Hello everyone, my name is Jaipal. Sorry, a second. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Jaipal. My presentation topic is metaphysical poets in different cultural and contents. This is my presentation information and academic information. Table of content. This research question and hypothesis. Research question: how does metaphysical poetry reflect the intersection in the intellect, faith, and culture across English and continent? Sorry, a second. continental tradition, and what does it reveal about the evolution of the poetry which as mode of understanding human experience. Hypothesis is metaphysical poetry is confined England or single era. It is a cross-cultural intellectual project that that use width, analysis, and paradoxing of the explore the deepest and international of the human extent. It is English experience focused on psychological and theological struggle, while continental theories provide a consummental framework of the divine correspondent together, forming infield metaphysical vision that blend intellectual, emotional, and spirituality. My first topic name is choral ideas. What is the metaphysical poetry? The core idea is metaphysical poetry, a style of poetry that combines intellectual and imagination. According to William Brad Smith, metaphysical poetry is a kind of paradoxical equality. That means it is try to explore deep and often conductive truth, life, lives, death, and faith. The poetry did not settle for simple emotion. They analyzed the questioned them throughout the logical reasons, the key characters, intellectual and physical deeds. Metaphysical poetry thinks deeply about the feelings like loves and faith. After analyzing them, if there were scientific problems, for example, John Donne explored the love as both spiritual and physical, full of tension and contradiction. Okay. Unusual imagery. Second is unusual imagery. They use the comparison draw science, law, medical, and everything lives, everyday lives, things not normally found in love poetry. This make their imaginary shocking and original. Third is embracing paradox and complexity. Instead of clear answer, they celebrate complex ideas and opposing truth, like how love can be both joy and pain, or faith both serenity and depths. Then the key distinction, strong lines versus metaphysical poetry. The perception of metaphysical poetry sends down the 17th century to modern times. In the 17th century, poets like Donne and Herbert were describing as writing strong lines and meanings versions that sound loud and regular, and overly intellectual critics such as Hobby and Dryden show the style and unnatural and confliction, calling of riddle and nonsense. As George Dine and point out, a strong line and metaphysical poetry are not same. They represent two different historically, and representing one show difficult as a play, the other is it is brilliance. Then in the English context, poets of personal and political struggles, English metaphysical poets use their poetry to navigate both personal and political tensions. Donne, the struggle of faith and intelligence, identity, personal conflict graps with these Catholic heritage and with navigating a prostrating society. Example, Bloom showed Donne offered transport classical satire into Christian experience at the Falls store and reflecting the ungraceful sort and turmoil. Herbert authorized and theological and self. The between sacred and secular as a counter and priest. Herbert poetry navigation duty on God kings. Example, Jordan, they praise my God, my king, reveal ambiguity and blessing, evading with the earthly authority. Third was metaphysical poetry as a mirror of the age. Cultural poetry, new historian place. There's poets in their context showing how political realization and history shaped their works. Okay. Then European theory as a poet of correspondence. Continental theories like Tesoro and Gracian's understanding metaphysical poetry. They show the universe as a metaphysical poems created by really intelligent God, where everything interconnected thought, hiding, analyzing, and a correspondent. The poet role is a discovery and articulate then the divine connection turn inside to create expression. Even the most usual of far-fetched metaphor is justified because it reflects the real link in good or modern create. In short, metaphysical poetry is in the European view is an intellectual and spiritual pursuit using with reveal and hiding structure of the universe. Then synthesis of infid project. 17th century poets and theorists across England and Europe were England in single intellectual project using wit, consent, and metaphor to reveal hidden and connection in the universe style. The strong line early readers focus on the roots, observe style of their poems after criticizing them readily. Philosophy, poets of correspond European thinkers show the universe as a dividing orderly and network of the analyzing in the world. Poetry with the incarnation, the hidden and connection. Modern views, metaphysical poetry today critics celebrating the same works from their intellectual depth and connection metaphors and infinite complexity, and after analyzing them within historical, theological, and cultural construct. In short, the across style and philosophy and modern interpretation, metaphysical poetry represent a unified approach to expression of complex interconnection nature of the reality through wit and metaphors. Their conclusion: metaphysical poetry is a transactional literary phenomena that blend with imaginary and spiritual equity, and it combine complex style and conscient with personal, cultural, and social themes, reflecting both English poets' struggle and fundamental theories of divine orders. Understanding it requesting the reading is imaginary, historical concept, and philosophical framework, revealing unfilled intellectual project across the cultural. Okay, there is a reference. Thank you for any question. Ask me. Rudra. Sorry. Yeah.
So, Jaipal, my question to you is, why was it called strong lines in the 17th century metaphysics?
Yeah. Okay. It was called strong line because the poems. The poems sound rudely and art sciences with the poetry, the musical sounds of poets in the art times. So, metaphysical poetry. That's time. Okay. Anyone? They used
So my question is, what makes poet like John Donne and George Herbert important?
Yeah. Okay. They used their personal and religious struggle to explore spiritual thoughts and emotions with intellectual depth and creativity. Okay. Thank you for.
So hello everyone, my name is ADITYARAJSINH R GOHIL and today I will present Dryden's Absalom and Agathocles versus Pope's The Rape of the Lock. So here is my academic details and the presentation details and the table of content. Here is my research question that how do John Dryden's Absalom and Agathocles and the Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock reflect the different forms and functions of Augustine's satire, one as a political critic and other as a social commentary. Hypothesis. Dryden uses satire mainly as a political tool to defend the king and to criticize corruption and rebellion. Pope, on the other hand, uses satire as a social commentary to gently mock the pride, vanity, and the foolish behavior of the upper class. Together, they show how satire is in the Augustine age. So, Dryden's Absalom and Agathocles versus Pope's The Rape of the Lock, the two great English satirical poems. Dryden turned a political problem into a story based on the Bible, and the Pope's turned a small social quarrel into a funny and grand story. Both poets use humor, irony, and rhyming couplets to show the truth and the fault of their society. Their goals are different, like Dryden criticizes politics and leaders. Pope comment on the society and human behavior. Introduction. During the Restoration and early 18th century, satire becomes very popular in the English literature. After many political changes and social troubles, writer uses satire to show people's fault, hypocrisy, and foolishness. John Dryden and Alexander Pope were great master of satire. Both poets wrote in heroic couplet, two-line rhyming verse. Here is the example of their poems. Dryden wrote in the stormy and political in 1680s, while Pope wrote in the calm and refined age of the Augustan England. Here is the context and the purpose. Dryden's Absalom and Agathocles was written during the exclusion crisis in England. The poem uses biblical names to represent the real political figures of that time. Dryden wrote it to support the king and criticize those who tries to rebel against him. Pope's The Rape of the Lock was inspired by the real story and incident. Lord Peter cut the lock of hair from Arabella Ferman, which caused a big argument between two families. Pope turned this event into a funny and elegant poem to bring peace and make people laugh. Dryden's goal is to influence politics and defend monarchy. Pope's goal is to heal social conflict through humor and charm. The nature of satire in both poems. Dryden's satire is serious and moral in tone. He uses biblical stories and grand language to criticize pride and ambition. His goal is to teach moral lessons and restore social and political order. Pope's satire is light, playful, and full of irony. He turns a small event into the mock epic and a grand story about a silly subject. Both poets shows that satire can teach through cleverness and bring change through laughter. Literary forms and technique. Both Dryden and Pope write in heroic couplets, two-line rhyming verse, as we seen before. Dryden uses the form to sound serious and playful, giving his words moral strength and authority. His couplets feel strong and persuasive, like a leader's speech. Pope uses the same form in a lighter and more playful way. He adds wit, irony, exaggeration to create a mock heroic effect. The same poetic style creates two different moods. Dryden's thunder with seriousness and Pope sparkles with humor and charm. Targets and audiences. Dryden attacked political hypocrisy and division in society. His readers were politically aware people living through the Restoration's unstable time. His goal was to improve public morals and support political order. Pope criticized the fake manner and vanity of higher society. His readers were educated city people, often found in London's coffee houses. His aim was to polish social behavior and teach good taste through the humor. Thematical contrast. Dryden's main theme is obedience and the political stability. He shows rebellion as a sin and a loyalty the king as a virtue. Pope's main theme is human vanity and foolish pride. He replaces epic heroic with fashionable ladies and real battle with card games. Both poets shows different kind of imbalance in society. Dryden exposes political disorder and Pope exposes social and moral shallowness. Tone and voice. Dryden's tone is serious, grand, and powerful. His satire sounds like a moral sermon in poetry, teaching right and wrong. He speaks with the authority of a leader of statesmen. Pope's tone is light, amused, and witty. He laughs gently at people's mistakes instead of judging them harshly. He speaks like a social observer or artist watching society with a smile. Imagery and symbolism. Dryden uses biblical and royal imagery. His images shows that divine order, God's rule, and political order, the king's rule, are connected. This makes his poem feel serious and moral, like a lesson about loyalty and duty. Pope uses rich, decorative, and everyday imagery. He turns toilet tables into the temples and combs into the weapons, mixing beauty with humor. Purpose and effect. Dryden's poem took part directly in political debates of his time. In supported the king's authority and criticized rebellions and disloyalty. Pope's poem aimed to entertain readers, but also to teach them self-awareness and good manners. While Dryden's satire is political and powerful, Pope's is social and graceful. Both poets shows the satire can teach lessons while still making people laugh and enjoy. Comparative reflection. Dryden and Pope shows two different sides of Augustan satire. Dryden's satire is public and political. It tries to pursue people and defend order. Pope's satire is private and social. It tries to refine the manner and improve behavior. Both poets believe, as a neoclassical writers, that literature should bring balance and order. Their satires expose human faults to teach, correct, and entertain. My conclusion: John Dryden's Absalom and Agathophel and Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock clearly shows two different forms and purposes of Augustan satire. Dryden's poem serves as a political critic, using the biblical allegory and moral seriousness to defend the king and attack political rebellion and hypocrisy. His satire is direct, persuasive, and grounded in public duty. On the other hand, Pope's poem is, in contrast, work as a social commentary, turning a small social conflict into a witty mock epic that gently exposes the vanity and the superficial value of political society. Thank you. Here is my references. Any question, please?
Hello, Aditya. My question is what is the difference between Dryden's and Pope satires?
Thank you, JETHAVA. Dryden's poem was written during the exclusive crisis in England, a period of political instability. On the other hand, Pope's poem was inspired by the real social incident where Lord Peter cut a lock of hair from Arabella Feldman, causing a quarrel between their families. Any other question?
So my question is, explain the concept of mock epic and it applies to Pope's The Rape of Law.
Thank you. A mock epic is a literary form that turns a small silly subject into a grand story. Pope employs this in The Rape of the Lock by treating a trivial social quarrel, the cutting of a lock of a hair, with the grand language and structure of an epic poem, creating a humorous and ironic effect. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the last one. And to give a few comments and the objectives of the presentation also, we will see that what you have to keep in mind when you do the further presentations in the coming days. Good comment is that good observation is that many of you are using gestor articles or honors articles also. Not everybody, but many of you are using. Those who are not using articles from gestor or honors, one nation, one subscription, at least add one or two articles in your reference list and also in your presentation. Also take ideas from research articles, because after this week you are not going to watch those things, or you are not going to download also. This is the only week where you will be free to explore some research articles from journals, and you will do it. Afterwards, again, when the presentations will come, then only you will see that. In between, it will not be possible for you to explore those things. So take this opportunity to explore those articles. Those who have done from that, their quality also is good. And those who have used honors articles, gesture articles, the quality of their presentation also is good. Research questions and hypothesis that you are adding. Most of you are doing that. If any one or two are not doing, then start doing that. But see that the same things are answered in conclusion. Your research question and your hypothesis is addressed in the concluding slide also. In between, you are trying to prove that point. So it should not be disconnected from what is your research question, your hypothesis, and what is your conclusion, or whatever you are discussing in between should be around your question, which leads to the conclusion. So that also everybody has to keep in mind. All of you are not doing this there. Slides should have a combination of image and text. Many of you have done that quite well. Many of you are still bringing only text only. So see that you bring appropriate image regarding the slide. Thematically, color combination should be as per the your topic, your general topic and its thematic connection. You know the symbolic connection of colors, design, everything. Being a literature student, you are aware about those things. Now you have to apply everything in making your slides, which has all color combinations, design, any animation, image, graphic that you use is in tune with what is your main topic. It should not be completely opposite or having no connection together, but use the combination of image and text. Now you can use generative AI to generate an appropriate image also. So it will help you in giving emojis, icons, and other images also, which are relevant, which many of you are also using, but everybody is not doing. So use that also. That also is a part of skill development, that how generative AI can help you in presenting yourself in a graphical manner with the help of some graphics and images. Milan did well. Modern real life things you presented with Shakespearean plays. One thing you have to keep in mind, you use the word contemporary also with that. Many of the texts were of 60s and 70s. So contemporary means this 10 years. You can think of only one text was there, which was about 2015. All others were very old also. So whether it is contemporary to that time or our time, that should be made clear. Like a Japanese work, this Throne of Blood, then is it the contemporary time of those days when it was released, or you are talking about contemporary means our times? KHUSHI Parmar also did well. Tragedy and comedies were discussed. DIMPAL DABHI presented, but you are still struggling to read. Where is DIMPAL DABHI? You are struggling to read still. So you need to see that you improve your reading skills. This is first semester, so you say improve reading skills. Next semester, we will say speaking skills. Then you have to present yourself orally. Presentations are the slides are not for you. Slides are for audience. Presentation means you are not supposed to read slides. If it is paper reading, then you have to read a paper. There are seminars and conferences where they say you have to read a paper. Here we are not reading papers. We are presenting the thing. So the slides are for the audience, so that audience do not start yawning, or they see some photographs and they see the thing so that they get engaged visually. But you have to look at camera and speak orally. You should be knowing that when this slide comes, I have to speak all these things. So that is presentation. Reading a paper and making a presentation is a different thing. So don't confuse both the things together. DIMPAL Parmar also did well. Psychological conflict in Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. You have also, some of you cited original primary source also, which was done by her. Many of you have not done that. So if you are using the Rover as a primary text or Macbeth is a primary text, then that also should be cited. It should also be mentioned in the work cited. Nancy VIRDA presented on this. You used some of the articles from Shakespeare Quarterly. I think 3 articles you used from that, but I doubt whether you might be able to read entire article because I was not able to open the articles. So if you are able to open and read, then please share the PDF with me. This was from Academic OUP. This was one article which you cited from, but it was saying that you do not have access to this article, and it was asking for around, I think, 53 euros, 58 US dollars to read it for 24 hours only. For 24 hours, it was asking for 58 US dollars. So this and even another article, 3 articles that you cited that were not available for reading. So this you have to check that when you are citing the things, whether you have access to that material or not. Sandip presented, but you have not cited according to MLS style. MLS style do not have numbers. It is cited alphabetically. There is no number given there. So you cited numbering. So you see that alphabetical order is maintained in that. HIRALBA also did well. You also cited primary source, and Taylor and Francis article also was cited. A good quality article was used in the presentation. BHARGAVI, you also at this point of contemporary anxieties in the adaptations. So even the word modern key that you use, it was not suitable. When you take help of some generative AI, you also have to apply your sense of understanding that whether this will carry the overall meaning that you want to convey or not. So it will look very fancy, attractive, but you may not be able to talk about that throughout your presentation. Then change the title. Keywords in the title should be appropriately used. DIVYABEN presented on Aphra Benz. You also need to improve the reading. Where is Divya? You also practice reading loudly. Read it, record your video, listen your video, and that will help you in improving this. Chetna presented well. Good slides were also prepared. This combination of image and text was also very well done. Jansi Rathod. Okay, but did good work. Sejad also presented well on Bakhtin's Carnival theory. Riddhi also had a very low tone. You need to speak loudly so that your voice is captured well and listened by everybody. Rudra also presented well on conceit. You need to take care of slide combinations, the combination of image, text there. Shivani also did well, caller, and tried to connect with social media with the contemporary relevance. And one good article was referred for that connection also. Jaipal also did well. You just need to again practice more so that you can refine your speech. ADITYARAJ also presented well. Avoid citing from study guides. You have cited Mamral Nasrullah. That is a study guide like Spark Notes or Wikipedia. That kind of material is there. Instead of that, take help from them, but go to the original source and cite from research articles or books instead of study sites. You also need to add infographic images in your things also. Okay, before we end today, a brief presentation on why this presentation or what is expected from the presentations, or how it is different from another modes of assessment that we are doing. So what are the objectives of presentations and what sort of learning outcomes are expected from this? So you all also remain aware about this and you keep on honing the skills in a similar manner. See, we have in our exam, we have written assignment to be submitted, we have presentations, and then we have university exam also. Different way you are assessed. So there is a difference between the internal assessment that happens where you present yourself or you submit your written assignment, and then throughout the semester you are appearing in online test or you are writing blogs and other things. So there is a difference between these two modes of assessment which happen. So we can say this in context of Bloom's taxonomy, how the assessment and evaluation differ and what are the basic outcomes of both the different kind of thing that we tend to do. Bloom's taxonomy in action means how we can master higher order thinking, HOT skills. They are known as HOT. The opposite is LOT, lower order thinking skills, and HOT, that is higher order thinking skills, along with digital skilling through presentations and other things. This is the difference between assessment and evaluation. The purpose of assessment is to increase quality, and the purpose of evaluation is to judge quality. University exams are evaluating your performance. So they will give you a judgment that you are a first class student, you are a distinction student, you are a second class, you are a third class, but you will never know how to improve my quality. Nobody will give you feedback in the university exam. Where you write your answers orally, you sit in a hall and you write the exam, but that will only give you a judgment that you are this student and you don't know why am I this, or you will be surprised to see why your friends are there and why I am here. So that is always will remain if you see throughout your career as a student, that what way you are judged by boards in 10th standard, 12th standard, and then subsequently in the exam also. Continuous assessment is about improving the quality. Presentation comes here. Your routine online test come here. Your routine blog writing comes here, where you keep on improving the quality of your work. So it is not to pass a judgment that you are A grade, B grade, or C grade. You are the best or you are the worst. It is not for that. Everybody requires to improve the quality. Wherever we are, there is always possibility and chance to see that I can still be better. That's why we have self-evaluation also. Self means you evaluate yourself, and in comparison to your group, you may find yourself better, but still there is chance to be better than that. So how you judge yourself and you are in competition with yourself only, not with other people, and you keep on improving the quality. So that is assessment. So this is Bloom's taxonomy, the pyramid of Bloom's taxonomy, where at the bottom is memory. Remember, at the top is creation. So if you are able to create something, you are higher order thinkers. If you are able to remember, you are lower order thinkers. So here, memory is not valued much. Memory is required. It is not that you become Gajni and forget everything. But only having a memory and writing everything out of our cramming ability or speaking out of cramming ability is not important. But what you create, how you understand, then how you apply. This is you are raising your level from memory. If you understand, then you can apply, then you can analyze, then you can evaluate, and then you can create something. Presentations is the thing where you are creating something. So here you are displaying your higher order thinking abilities. So when you create, everything is judged. The content, the citations, that is fine. But what is your design? How do you make your all the slides appropriate to your content? And then how you speak on it, how you present yourself instead of only reading the thing. Then the part of creation is reflected in presentation here. So when we say remembering and recalling, these are the bottom parts. Understanding and comprehending, these are two bottoms of the pyramid. When you are creating a PowerPoint presentation, students need to recall information from their research and class materials to include in their slides. So while attending the classes, you might have taken some notes, and then you use those notes also when you make a presentation, and then you do further research. Further research is going to journal articles, going to Honors, One Nation, One Subscription platform, or going to Gesture platform, that is your research. And then you combine both the things together to present the thing. So you are recalling what you have listened in the classroom, and then you are adding with your research work. Understanding, to effectively communicate their ideas, student must understand the content they are presenting. So what you are presenting, you should be very clear about. Many times you are not able to give proper answers because you have not understood what you are speaking. You have maybe very quickly you have downloaded from generative AI, copy pasted. It is like licking and spitting. So only tongue knows what has happened. The throat also don't know that what is going on there. So mind will not come to know. Then only you cannot answer. Otherwise, whatever is asked about your presentation, you can answer. You are more happy to answer the question. But when you fumble, when you are happy, when you stand up, it is a bad sign. When you go there to sit, you are unhappy. You are nervous. But when you see harsh, so then it is not a good sign. You should be eager to speak more if some questions are coming. Then you reflect your comprehension or your understanding also. Second level, if you see, applying and analyzing. Creating a PowerPoint presentation requires students to apply their knowledge of organizing information, selecting relevant visuals. This is what we are telling. Images, graphics, visuals, and formatting slides effectively. They must apply what they have learned to create a coherent and engaging presentation. Now, because of generative AI, most of you are able to do this. The slides are good enough. They are organized also quite well. There is no such big problem about it, except for a few of you only. But this is what is said, that when you apply means you organize from your research question to your conclusion. Everything is in a flow of thoughts. But relevant visuals are very important here. Analyzing, students can demonstrate their analytical skills by critically examining the topic they are presenting. This could involve identifying patterns, making connections between different pieces of information, or analyzing the significance of key concepts within the context of the presentation. Whatever you are presenting, are you giving your point of view to that or not? What way you agree, disagree with that? So in one slide where there was this caller and social media. So how do you connect that, and whether your personal experience is coming in that or not? That way you have to try to look at it. So many people have said several things, but you think you disagree with that. Then you have to make that point also. If you agree, then you have to make that point also. That is analysis. Okay? Then the next two, the final two, one, evaluating and creating. Presentations provide an opportunity for students to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of different arguments, perspectives, or interpretations related to the topic. They can assess the credibility of sources, evaluate the effectiveness of different presentation techniques, and critique the content presented. Now here it is not only about you, but this evaluation in our system is for everybody. So when you do peer evaluation, this is what you will apply. That what way the other people are doing. Are they presenting things properly? So you have to observe everybody. Means that there are 17 in your group. So you have to study the other 16, that what they are doing. Out of our experience, we have seen that most of the times students are not interested in what others are presenting. They may be going out, coming inside, they will be roaming like there is a carnival festival going on. There is a happy street in another room. So time and again, people keep on going out inside. You should not be doing that. You should keep your water, whatever you require, with you only. And listening, not even also getting engaged with mobile device or any other things also. Till your turn comes, you are a little bit nervous. So you are mumbling your words, trying to see what you will do. So it is a little bit difficult. But still you have to try to see. That is how we are tested. That I have to present, but I have to listen also. I have to take some notes from what they are doing. So how others are presenting. Any good idea you are getting from other presenters, pick it up and try to apply them. Any good ideas are there. So that way, every day we keep on improving. Somebody will have some better idea than what you have. So that way you are evaluating, picking up good ideas. We learn a lot from the mistakes of others. We learn a lot from the mistakes. So we will see some other people making mistakes in their slides or when they speak, when they try to answer or when they try to ask question. There is lots of learning from the mistakes of others. So if you are observant, you learn lot many things that what not to do. What not to do in future when you will be making a real presentations in seminar conferences or facing interviews. You are aware that I should not be answering like this. I should not be presenting like this. That all remains in your mind. So evaluating is this. You will evaluate yourself also, but you will observe and evaluate all your classmates also. Creating, finally. Students can showcase their creativity by designing visually appealing slides, incorporating multimedia elements, and presenting their ideas in innovative ways. So how innovatively you present yourself. That is also very important part of your presentation. They may also propose new solutions, generate original ideas, or develop unique insights during the presentation process. So if this is what you are doing, it is very good. That will come in your concluding slide. Some new way of looking at the thing. At least you can try. And until you don't reach at this point, you have to still be dissatisfied with yourself. You should be seeing that still I am not doing this. I should be doing this. So still then you remain unhappy with you. That still I am not working properly. I still need to add something where a creating comes. Creating is visually appealing slides plus something new that you are adding as an idea. Also, that is you are creating a new idea while presenting also. So these are the things which are expected when we look at Bloom's taxonomy and this pyramid we see from remember to create what is expected as a part of your presentation skills. This is finally the learning outcome or key takeaways that you are expected to take when you work for 5 days in the presentation things. It will help you in enhancing your understanding of whichever topic you are dealing and the things which you are listening also. Critical thinking skills also will be developed. Your communication skills. Today we can come to know that somebody has a very low tone, somebody is not able to speak properly or even read properly with a flow. So that all we have to overcome. During our classroom discussions, we as a teacher also are not able to judge each and every learner because only few speaks in the class. Everybody do not speak in the class and we do not have time in the classroom every day to give opportunity to everybody to speak. But here we have this 5 days in 4 semesters, we will have 20 valuable days. So in this 20 days, we can judge each and every one. We can come to see that who is doing good, who needs to improve. We will make comments on that also, which will help you also. And we are recording everything. So whenever you want to watch, you can watch it. Whenever you want to watch and see that what mistakes I have made, you are the better judge. You have to judge yourself by watching and try to see that next time you try to improve over that, or in next semester you try to improve. So there are many limitations in a traditional classroom where you, a teacher, do not get a chance to listen everybody. All students do not get a chance to speak. Normally, students don't want that chance also. They want to escape from speaking. So that will happen in a regular class. But if you design a presentation test in such a manner that nobody can escape, so that way we have modeled this, that everybody will come, everybody will remain present. It will not be that I will come when my time will come and then I will go. Now then it destroys our basic idea that why we are doing presentation. It will destroy if people will come at their time and they will leave earlier. Then we won't be able to do what we want to do through the presentations and other things. Creative expressions also might come up, and you will also realize that who is more creative in designing slides and organizing ideas. Both the things are important. The slide layouts as well as idea, the way they are presented. Research skills also, like who is going to a better research paper, who is going to study material side. That also we can judge that who has a better research skills. If you go to quality journal articles, you have a good research skills. If you go to study material side, you do not have a good research skills. And finally, collaborations. Many of you might be working together in the lab till late night. Many of you work, so you help each other also. If you are working all alone, you miss the chance of collaboration. But if you are taking help of anybody through phone call or in any other way, then this also happens. And we have seen in many years that many students work together in lab collaboratively. They help each other, and that is a very good outcome also, that how you prepare yourself in groups, how you help each other to develop this. It helps us in developing collaboration skills, including teamwork, communication, and task delegation. All this thing also develops along with that also. So these are the things. Your university exam will only judge that what standard you have, which many times we don't agree with. As a teacher personally, the one who has seen students performing in class and in this internal exam is not always satisfied with the university exam. There the things are much different. That also is required because market, society values your mark sheet. What happens here is your caliber. So when you got a good percentage on the mark sheet, if you want to prove that I deserve this marks, then what happens here is very important. Otherwise, you have to hide your mark sheet. You may get good percentage, but you will be ashamed to tell people that I have this many percentage. People will make fun. And they will say કે અમારા સમયમાં તો 50% નહોતા આવતા ને હવે તો 80 90 તો એમને આવી જાય છે. જે રીતે બીએડ માં મોટે ભાગે લોકો કહેતા હોય કે એમાં તો 90% હોય તો ઓછા લાગે. That way plenty of marks are given in some program, but we don't like we are ashamed to tell people that I have this many percentage. So our caliber development happens here in presentations, in classroom discussions and other things there. So increase the quality. That is the main purpose of doing the things, and we follow the Bloom's taxonomy for doing all these things also. So I hope this will make you very clear about why we do presentation in a particular manner. What are our objectives of carrying out the presentations in a particular manner? So with this, we end today's session and wish you all the best for tomorrow.